The moon hangs over a quiet apartment complex as the night begins. Inside, Xiaomei relaxes in her bedroom, unaware of the drama about to unfold. She reclines on her bed, her attention fully occupied by her smartphone. A deceptive text to her boyfriend, BT, ensures her secret plans remain hidden. Suddenly, a man's hand reaches out, pulling her into a close embrace. She wears a confident smirk, certain she is the queen of his heart. Unbeknownst to them, a closet door in the background begins to creak open. The man leans in, focusing all his attention on the woman. He pulls her closer, deepening their interaction within the quiet room. They remain lost in the moment, oblivious to any potential witness. From inside the closet, a pair of glasses reflects the shocking scene. Xiao Mei's expression shifts to concern as she senses a presence nearby. The man pauses, scanning the room for the source of a strange noise. She dismisses his nerves, urging him to focus back on her. He agrees, promising to make the night one she won't forget. The tension snaps when the closet door is violently kicked open. Cheng Xu glares from the shadows, eyes wide with shock and fury. He lunges forward, pointing an accusing finger at the pair. Xiao Mei recoils in horror, her face pale as her double life implodes. Cheng Xu reveals he was hiding there to surprise her for their anniversary. He stands amidst the clothes, devastated by the betrayal he witnessed. Desperate, Xiao Mei scrambles to find a lie to save herself. Cheng Xu's hand trembles as he struggles to process the heartbreak. He looks away, feeling there is nothing left to say. Xiao Mei grabs his arm, refusing to let him leave. She pivots instantly, claiming the entire scene was just a test of his love. He looks at her with confusion, unable to process the bizarre claim. She insists it was an elaborate act and that nothing actually happened. Doubt flickers in his eyes as he desperately wants to believe her. She steps closer, reinforcing her story with feigned sincerity. A single tear falls as she uses her emotions to manipulate him. Broken by her act, Cheng Xu apologizes for jumping to conclusions. He suddenly remembers the gift he had prepared for their night. He reaches into his pocket to retrieve the surprise. He presents a small gift, hoping to make amends for his mistake. Xiao Mei hides a mocking smile, amazed that he fell for the lie. She looks at him with hidden contempt, calling him an idiot in her mind. Cheng Xu's world shatters as the realization of the situation finally begins to sink in. He desperately asks if this is just another cruel test of his devotion. Xiao Mei sneers, dropping the act to tell him he's officially dumped. The anniversary gifts he worked so hard for now lie shattered and worthless on the floor. Heartbroken, he asks how she could betray him after everything he's done for her. She mocks him, questioning if he ever provided anything of real value during their time together. She looks down with pure disgust at the humble present he brought for their special day. The manipulation turns to insults as she laughs at the idea of such a cheap gift winning her over. With a cold stomp, she crushes the gift under her heel and turns her back on him. Her eyes lock onto a luxury designer bag sitting prominently on the counter. She boasts that her new lover provided this high-end accessory the moment they met. She mocks his intelligence, laughing at the fact that he actually believed her lies. Xiao Mei finds his stunned silence to be the most pathetic part of his reaction. Cheng Xu can only look away, his spirit completely crushed by her verbal assault. Seeing him on the verge of tears only fuels her desire to humiliate him further. She offers a degrading proposal, telling him to grovel at her feet if he wants to stay. Finally reaching his breaking point, Cheng Xu shouts for her to stop. Xiao Mei immediately threatens to call the authorities if he doesn't leave her sight. He clenches his jaw, fighting back the urge to say anything more to her. The heavy door slams shut, signaling the absolute end of their relationship. Standing alone in the hallway, he realizes he's lost everything he cared about. He emerges into the bright city lights, a ghost among the bustling crowds. Every happy couple he passes serves as a painful reminder of his own failure. He wanders aimlessly through the streets, consumed by a sense of worthlessness. Seeking to drown his sorrows, he begins pouring a steady stream of alcohol. Surrounded by empty bottles, he sits in the dim light of a lonely bar. He stares at his own reflection in his phone, cursing his miserable existence. A heavy sigh escapes him as he reflects on how many times he's failed at love. He looks at a digital memory of happier times, wondering where it all went wrong. Suddenly, a mysterious flyer is dropped onto his table by a passing stranger. He picks up the paper, squinting through his haze to see what it says. The flyer advertises a revolutionary dating app designed to make one's deepest desires a reality. He laughs bitterly, convinced that this is just another scam targeting the desperate. He takes another swig of his drink, trying to dismiss the strange advertisement. Despite his skepticism, his eyes keep drifting back to the mysterious QR code. With nothing left to lose, he decides to scan the code with his smartphone. He justifies the move by telling himself he'll simply delete it if it asks for money. Panic sets in as the app begins a rapid binding process, making him fear a virus. A sudden, sharp realization hits him as the screen begins to glow intensely. He shields his eyes from the blinding light emanating from the device. As the binding reaches 100%, he looks up with a start. His entire perspective shifts as digital data overlays appear above every person in the room. Cheng Xu stares in disbelief as strange geometric frames and numbers begin floating over the bar patrons. He rubs his eyes, feeling the heavy strain of the alcohol and the bizarre vision. Doubting his sanity, he concludes he must be hallucinating from being far too drunk. He stumbles toward the exit, hoping some fresh air will clear the dizziness. Stepping out into the street, he finds himself in the middle of a bustling crowd. To his shock, The digital overlays are still hovering over every person he sees. A sharp slap to his own cheek confirms the pain is real and this is no dream. He looks down at his smartphone, realizing the mysterious app might be responsible. He quickly taps the screen to shut the software down. The world instantly returns to a normal, unaugmented state. With a click, he restarts the app, and the data-filled reality snaps back into view. He watches a man walk past, his stats displayed in a complex floating web. A woman passes by next, her attributes appearing like a character in a simulation. He notices a small arrow icon near the edge of her data display. Tapping it reveals her height, weight, and age in a detailed pop-up window. He's stunned to see the system listing such private and specific measurements. He ponders how to unlock the rest of the hidden personal data points. Turning his gaze, he sees a couple with high-value heart icons floating above them. A solitary girl walks nearby, marked by a single, mysterious heart. She moves through the crowd with a pleasant, unsuspecting expression. Suddenly, a passerby bumps into her, causing a startled reaction. She stumbles from the impact, nearly losing her footing. Her phone slips from her grasp and hits the ground with a sharp thud. The device slides across the pavement, coming to a stop near Cheng Xu's feet. A system prompt suddenly appears, forcing him to choose a course of action. He picks up the phone and calls out to get her attention. The girl looks back with a suspicious glare, fearing he is a stalker. Panicked, she bolts away and disappears into a nearby alleyway. Cheng Xu watches her run, completely baffled by her sudden flight. He pursues her into the alley to finish the simple task of returning the device. She desperately grabs a wooden stick to use as a makeshift weapon. With a loud thud, she swings the stick and strikes him directly in the face. She stands her ground, shouting at him to stop following her. He notices her favorability hearts have plummeted into the negative range. Covering his bruised face, he explains he was just trying to return her lost phone. The girl's defensive posture softens as she realizes her massive mistake. She drops the stick in a panic, offering a frantic apology for the assault. Cheng Xu watches as the numerical stats above her head begin to climb again. She looks at him with genuine concern, worried about the damage she caused. A new set of game-like dialogue choices appears before his eyes. He selects the kindest option, asking her if she's alright. Her stats surge upward as she starts to get emotional. She wipes at her eyes, clearly overwhelmed by the chaotic interaction. The girl bursts into a loud, uncontrollable crying fit right there in the alley. Cheng Xu stands frozen, wondering what on earth he should do next. Cheng Xu looks down at his phone, desperately hoping the system app can navigate this social disaster. The interface presents him with a high-stakes choice: walk away or stay to wipe her tears. He hesitates, rationalizing that under normal circumstances, a clean break would be the safest bet. He realizes that reaching out to wipe her face is a move usually reserved for someone much closer than a stranger. A wave of anxiety hits him as he recalls her previous anger, fearing he'll be labeled a pervert again. The pressure of the situation begins to weigh on him, leaving him feeling completely out of his depth. He looks back at the floating prompts, still torn between the two conflicting paths. To his horror, a digital timer appears, signaling that his window for a decision is about to close. With only seconds remaining, the pressure reaches a boiling point as the clock ticks down. Realizing he's out of time, Cheng Xu decides to throw caution to the wind and follow the system's lead. He slowly extends his hand, moving with a mix of hesitation and resolve toward the crying girl. Gently, he reaches out to brush the tears from her cheek, attempting to offer some comfort. The girl suddenly lifts her head, her eyes wide with total surprise at the unexpected contact. She stares at him in confusion, demanding to know what he thinks he is doing. Terrified of another misunderstanding, he immediately raises his hands to show he meant no harm. He looks away, feeling a deep sense of embarrassment over the awkward interaction. The air between them turns cold as they both stand in a heavy, uncomfortable silence. Neither of them can find the words to speak, looking in opposite directions to avoid eye contact. Finally, he manages to mutter a sincere apology for his impulsive actions. Her expression shifts dramatically as she looks back at him, her previous hostility completely gone. Cheng Xu is stunned by her sudden change in demeanor, wondering what prompted the 180-degree turn. She softly apologizes for her earlier outburst, looking down in genuine regret. To his shock, she bows deeply, expressing her gratitude and apologizing for everything that happened today. He can hardly believe his luck, marveling at how she went from accusing him to bowing in minutes. He credits the app for the successful outcome, and begins to wonder what his next move should be. New options appear on the screen, giving him the choice to ask for her number or invite her for a drink. Seeing how nice she is being, he decides it's the perfect moment to take a chance and maintain the connection. He carefully checks the probability of success for each option, hoping for a clear sign. He is disappointed to see that asking for her phone number only has a low 20% success rate. However, his eyes widen when he sees that an invitation for a drink has a massive 80% chance. Armed with the data, he gathers his courage and prepares to deliver the invitation. She tilts her head and looks at him inquisitively, sensing that he has something more to say. He puts on a friendly smile and asks if she'd like to go grab a drink to help her calm down. The scene transitions to a stylish building where the two have gone to find some peace and quiet. They sit across from one another, finally able to have a proper conversation in a professional setting. She admits her embarrassment over the situation, feeling bad that he's the one paying for her beverage. Floating hearts appear above her head, confirming to Cheng Xu that her favorability is rising. She introduces herself as Lingxi, finally revealing her name to her rescuer. He returns the gesture, telling her his name is Cheng Xu while enjoying the relaxed atmosphere. Lingxi immediately begins to pour herself a drink, ready to wash away the day's stress. She drinks with surprising speed, showing a much bolder side of her personality than before. Cheng Xu notes that she seems like an entirely different person once she starts drinking. Before long, several empty bottles are scattered across the table, showing the extent of their session. He watches in stunned silence, unable to believe her incredible tolerance levels. Suddenly, a glass slips from her hand and shatters against the floor in a loud crash. Without warning, Lingxi completely loses consciousness and collapses face first onto the table. Cheng Xu looks over at his companion, realizing the situation is getting complicated. Lingxi is completely out of it, slumped over the table after too many drinks. He reaches for her phone, hoping to find a way to get her home safely. His plan is simple: call her family and let them take over. Unfortunately, the device is dead, leaving him without any contacts. With no other options, he decides the only responsible move is to find a nearby room. He arrives at the XX Motel, the only place available at this hour. Supporting her wait, he approaches the front desk to check in. The clerk politely explains that only single rooms remain available. Cheng Xu hesitates, worried about how this might look. The receptionist clarifies that every other hotel in the area is currently packed. Seeing no alternative, he reluctantly agrees to the single room. As they head up, he notices another couple checking in behind them. The pair follows the clerk toward the elevators. The man in the blue shirt shoots a judgmental glance back at Cheng Xu. Once inside, he carefully places Lingxi on the bed so she can rest. He takes a deep breath, trying to stay calm in the quiet room. Suddenly, he hears a faint mumble coming from the bed. Lingxi tosses fitfully, complaining about the stuffy room temperature. Cheng Xu maintains his focus, determined to remain a perfect gentleman. He moves toward the nightstand to adjust the air conditioning. As he reaches out, he focuses solely on finding the remote. Without warning, Lingxi's arm reaches up and catches him off guard. She accidentally pulls him closer while rambling about another round of drinks. He freezes, finding himself in an incredibly awkward position. Lingxi's hand brushes his face as she continues her sleepy monologue. She pleads for him to stay and keep her company. Cheng Xu's face flushes as he struggles to maintain his professional distance. He braces himself against the mattress, trying to regain his balance. Realizing the gravity of the situation, he immediately stops moving. His inner thoughts clash, debating the right way to handle this mishap. A sudden, aggressive pounding on the door shatters the silence. Startled, he snaps his head toward the entrance. He panics, wondering who could be bothering them at this hour. The door swings open, revealing the man from earlier and his friends. Cheng Xu realizes he's trapped in a massive misunderstanding. He lunges for his phone, desperate for a solution. The system activates, offering two paths to escape this nightmare. Cheng Xu weighs his options as the tension outside the door peaks. He turns toward the exit, determined to face the situation head-on. Knowing his conscience is clear, he prepares to explain the misunderstanding. His hand grips the handle, ready to de-escalate the conflict. Outside, the aggressive man kicks the door and bellows violent threats. Cheng Xu realizes the man is far too unstable for a rational conversation. He decides the only safe path is to involve the authorities. With a steady hand, he dials the emergency line. Minutes later, a patrol car arrives at the scene with lights flashing. Cheng Xu waits nervously, hoping for a swift resolution. A sharp knock echoes through the small motel room. The police announce their presence and demand full cooperation. Cheng Xu cautiously peeks out as he unlatches the door. He finds himself staring at several officers and the agitated accuser. He attempts to greet them calmly to prove his innocence. Suddenly, an officer reaches out and grabs his arm firmly. Before he can react, they pull him out into the hallway. Stunned, Cheng Xu struggles to process the sudden use of force. Inside, Lingxi remains on the bed, looking dazed and confused. The officers lead Cheng Xu away to settle the matter at the station. The scene shifts to the sterile environment of the police precinct. Everyone gathers around a table to begin the formal inquiry. The lead investigator asks for the truth regarding their relationship. Cheng Xu clarifies that they are mere acquaintances who met today. The accuser, Lin Zijian, leaps up in a fit of jealous rage. The officer narrows his eyes and warns the man to sit down. Lin huffs in frustration but reluctantly returns to his seat. Cheng Xu calmly explains he was just helping a stranded friend. Lin snaps back, accusing Cheng Xu of spinning a blatant lie. Lingxi finally speaks up, reminding Lin they are long since broken up. The revelation of their split catches everyone off guard. Lin shifts gears, trying to play the part of a heartbroken victim. Cheng Xu watches the performance, disgusted by the man's manipulation. The door to the interrogation room suddenly clicks open. An officer enters with a woman claiming to be Lin's actual girlfriend. She blasts Lin for his lies and officially ends their relationship. Caught in his own web of deceit, Lin frantically tries to apologize. The police watch as the accuser's credibility completely collapses. After being released, Lingxi sighs, feeling guilty for the trouble. Cheng Xu dismisses it, modestly taking the blame for the chaos. They share a quiet moment of connection under the night sky. Lingxi suddenly shifts her weight and rises onto her tiptoes. She leans in for a brief, innocent kiss to show her gratitude. She quickly turns away, leaving Cheng Xu standing in silence. He touches his face, his mind racing racing from the unexpected gesture. He wonders if he's dreaming as the adrenaline finally fades. A familiar chime rings out from the phone in his pocket. The system confirms that Lingxi is now officially his girlfriend. Cheng Xu's eyes widen as the system officially registers Lingxi as his new girlfriend. He stares at the screen, questioning if this incredible life update is actually real. A sudden chime signals a new notification arriving on his mobile device. Lingxi has accepted his request, teasing him to be more proactive in their chats. Overjoyed, he celebrates the end of his single life with a triumphant shout. The sun rises over the city skyline as a brand new day begins. Cheng Xu arrives at the office with a bright smile, greeting everyone warmly. His coworkers respond with cold, judgmental stares that instantly kill the mood. The office atmosphere turns hostile as colleagues whisper behind his back. Confused, he wonders why everyone is looking at him with such disdain. A firm hand suddenly drops onto his shoulder from behind. He turns around to find a stern-faced colleague waiting for him. Li informs him that the boss is demanding his presence immediately. A system notification reveals Li's relationship level is a shocking -99. Li glares at him with pure professional contempt. Cheng Xu breaks into a nervous sweat under the man's intense scrutiny. The senior employee cryptically warns him that he'll understand everything soon enough. He stands before the boss's door, feeling a sense of impending dread. Inside, the manager maintains a cold, professional distance during the meeting. A termination agreement is slid across the desk, ending his career hopes. The boss demands he sign the document without any further discussion. Shock washes over him as the reality of being fired sinks in. The manager claims he simply isn't a good fit for the company's future. Distraught, Cheng Xu can't fathom how his hard work led to this. He exits only to see Li conspiring with another colleague nearby. Li praises Xiao Zhao for securing the only permanent position available. Xiao Zhao smirks, promising a gift to Li for his help in the process. Cheng Xu locks eyes with his rival. Realizing the game was rigged, Xiao Zhao scoffs at him, showing zero remorse for his underhanded victory. Standing outside the skyscraper, Cheng Xu feels small and defeated. He looks down at his phone, reflecting on his failed efforts. A heavy sigh escapes him as he mourns the loss of his first job. He remembers starting alongside Xiao Zhao, both competing for one spot. While Cheng Xu worked late hours, he thought merit would win out. Xiao Zhao spent his time buying favors and networking with the staff. He realizes now that working hard was never enough in this environment. He desperately wishes for an edge to navigate these social minefields. A sudden thought flashes through his mind, sparking a new idea. He recalls the system meter appearing over Li, realizing it works on everyone. Gripping his phone, he realizes the app is his ultimate professional weapon. Cheng Xu contemplates the true power of the mysterious app he stumbled upon. He envisions a future where he's the king of the world, showered in wealth, and surrounded by admirers. The harsh reality sets in as he realizes he hasn't even secured a permanent position yet. He trudges down the sidewalk, the weight of unemployment heavy on his shoulders. A massive commotion up ahead catches his attention as a crowd begins to gather. He peers through the gap, wondering what could possibly be causing such a stir. Exhausted by his own bad luck, he considers just walking away to avoid any more trouble. Suddenly, a familiar system chime rings out, signaling a new event right in the middle of the crowd. He spots a strange icon hovering in the air and wonders what the system is trying to tell him. Remembering how the app led him to Lingxi, he decides he can't afford to ignore this lead. He maneuvers through the wall of people to get a better look at the spectacle. An old man stands at the center, brandishing a sunflower manual as if it were a holy relic. The senior boasts to the onlookers that his secret training has given him the strength of a young man. Cheng Xu stares in disbelief, immediately clocking the man as a daylight swindler. He's stunned to see the onlookers actually nodding along to the man's ridiculous claims. His eyes narrow as he notices the system icon is locked directly onto the old man's head. He steps forward to address the man, hoping to get some answers from this supposed NPC. Before he can say a word, the old man stumbles forward and collapses right in front of him. The senior groans in apparent agony, clutching his chest as he hits the pavement. Cheng Xu freezes in horror, realizing he's just walked straight into a classic insurance scam. He frantically turns to the crowd, begging them to testify that he never even touched the guy. The onlookers offer no help, staring back at him with silent, judgmental glares. Panic sets in as he realizes there isn't a single surveillance camera around to prove his innocence. At the height of his desperation, the system triggers another loud notification. The app presents him with a high-stakes choice: help the fallen man or walk away. He feels trapped by the system, knowing both options carry a massive risk. His mind races as he imagines the worst-case scenario unfolding before him. He envisions a news report where his reputation is ruined after being framed by a con artist. The mere thought of being the victim of such a scheme makes him break out in a cold sweat. He contemplates making a run for it before the situation escalates any further. He looks at the crowd again, realizing everyone else is too afraid of being scammed to help. Seeing the collective hesitation of the bystanders, he understands the gravity of the social trap. Resigned to his fate, he lets out a heavy sigh and prepares to intervene regardless of the cost. He kneels beside the man, demanding a clarification of the facts before he offers a hand. He makes it clear that he's a broke, unemployed guy with absolutely nothing to steal. The old man remains motionless on the ground, barely reacting to Cheng Xu's words. A shaky hand reaches out, grasping at the air for something just out of reach. The senior winces, desperately gasping for something he seems to have lost. Cheng Xu braces for an extortion attempt, certain the man is about to demand money. The old man shuts him down immediately, telling him to stop being ridiculous and just give him back his book. A short while later, the two of them sit down on a bench to recover from the chaos. The old man expresses his gratitude, telling Cheng Xu to name his price for the help. Cheng Xu politely declines the reward, explaining that he needs to get back to his job hunt. The old man's expression changes instantly when he hears that the young man is looking for work. With a knowing look, he offers to give Cheng Xu a professional recommendation that could change everything. Cheng Xu looks on with skepticism, asking the old man exactly what kind of position he's offering. With a smirk, the mysterious benefactor reveals his proposal. He wants the young man to become his personal caretaker. Offended by the suggestion, Cheng Xu immediately waves him off and prepares to leave. He scoffs at the idea of a college graduate taking such a role, vowing he'd rather starve than accept a caretaker position. However, the old man holds up two fingers, casually offering a staggering $20,000 salary. The massive figure hits Cheng Xu like a bolt of lightning, instantly shattering his pride. He desperately tries to keep his composure, wondering if this is some kind of psychological test. Seeing the hesitation, the old man shrugs and prepares to find someone else for the lucrative gig. Cheng Xu's resolve crumbles as his body begins to move on its own against his will. As the benefactor turns to walk away, the opportunity of a lifetime starts to slip through his fingers. Panicked, Cheng Xu throws his hands up and shouts for the man to wait. He rushes forward with open arms, ready to take back everything he just said to secure the job. The scene shifts to a massive, multi-story villa that screams extreme wealth. Stepping inside, Cheng Xu is floored by the sheer scale of the luxurious living room. He realizes that being a caretaker for a man this rich might actually be a stroke of genius. The old man instructs him to get settled and prepare a proper dinner before he returns from his errands. Cheng Xu gives a polite acknowledgement as his new boss heads out the front door. He makes his way into the high-end kitchen to begin his first official task. Standing over the stove, he reflects on the last time he actually put effort into a home-cooked meal. A brief memory of a domestic moment with Linksy flashes through his mind as he prepares the ingredients. He quickly shakes his head to clear the distraction and focus on the professional work at hand. Suddenly, a loud chime rings through the house as someone arrives at the entrance. A young blonde woman stands at the door, calling out for her grandfather as she lets herself in. Unaware of the visitor, Cheng Xu continues to hum a tune while busy with his culinary duties. The woman reaches for the handle, ready to enter the main living area. Without warning, the house is plunged into total darkness as the power cuts out. Confused by the sudden blackout, Cheng Xu decides to investigate the electrical panel. The woman freezes, her eyes widening as she peers into the pitch-black hallway. Hearing an unfamiliar voice, she immediately suspects that a burglar has broken into the house. Cheng Xu cautiously steps into the room, unable to see anything in the gloom. The woman's fears are confirmed when she spots a shadow moving through the dark. Cheng Xu begins feeling along the walls, searching for the light switch to restore power. The girl holds her breath, staying perfectly still to avoid being detected by the intruder. The two pass within inches of each other, the tension in the air becoming palpable. Sensing something behind him, Cheng Xu starts to pivot around. The woman sighs in relief, thinking she has successfully avoided a direct confrontation. However, Cheng Xu senses a presence and turns back around with a look of suspicion. He reaches out blindly to find his bearings in the middle of the pitch-black room. In the confusion of the blackout, his hand makes accidental contact with the girl just as the lights flicker back on. They lock eyes in a moment of pure, awkward shock as the reality of the situation hits them. The girl immediately reacts to the accidental touch, lashing out at the supposed intruder. Minutes later, a humiliated Cheng Xu is tied up on the sofa while still wearing his apron. The woman stands over him with a fierce gaze, demanding an explanation for his presence. Cheng Xu laments his terrible luck, wondering how his first day on the job turned into a disaster. She accuses him of being a thief and demands to know what he's stolen from her grandfather. He tries to explain that he's actually the new employee, but his words fall on deaf ears. Refusing to listen, she pulls out her phone to report the break-in to the authorities. Cheng Xu panics, realizing he has no way to prove his identity to the angry girl. He thinks his only hope is to get the old man on the line to clear up the misunderstanding, but the realization hits him that he doesn't even have his new employer's contact information. Just as things look bleak, the navigation system activates with a brand new prompt. A high-stakes choice appears on his screen, offering two paths to resolve this chaotic encounter. Cheng Xu stares at his phone in a cold sweat, desperate for better options. He curses the app for giving him such high-stakes choices under pressure. The screen flashes two extremes, forcing him to decide before the timer hits 0. With his hands still bound, he clumsily tries to navigate the touchscreen. Ningyu refuses to listen, already pulling up the emergency dialer. Her finger hovers over the screen, ready to report him as a thief. In a panic, Cheng Xu lunges forward to intercept the call. The struggle sends both their devices clattering onto the floor. He accidentally pins her against the wall during the chaotic scramble. The sudden movement causes a technical mishap with his clothing as he tries to maintain balance. Ningyu stares in wide-eyed shock at the sudden confrontation. Cheng Xu quickly introduces himself as her grandfather's newly hired caretaker. She looks down, realizing the messy state of their scuffle. He immediately turns away, embarrassed by the unprofessional situation. She recoils in anger, warning him to stay far away from her. The front door suddenly clicks open, interrupting the tense standoff. The old man steps inside, completely oblivious to the drama. He freezes at the sight of his granddaughter and the caretaker in the hallway. Later, Cheng Xu gets to work, preparing a meal to smooth things over. The atmosphere at the dinner table remains incredibly frosty. Grandpa tries to de-escalate, confirming that Cheng Xu is indeed an employee. Ningyu remains unconvinced, certain the new hire has hidden motives. Cheng Xu focuses strictly on his meal, avoiding any further conflict. A system interface appears, showing a massive drop in their relationship status. She snaps at him for even looking in her direction. He maintains a calm exterior, focused only on his high paycheck. Internally, he resolves to keep a professional distance from her at all costs. A sudden ringtone breaks the silence of the dining room. Ningyu's expression softens instantly as she answers her boyfriend's call. She informs her grandfather that she won't be staying for the rest of dinner. Cheng Xu watches her leave, surprised by her sudden change in demeanor. He realizes that any hope of a friendly workplace dynamic is gone. A sharp knock at the door signals the visitor's arrival. A stylish, silver-haired man steps into the villa with a confident smirk. Cheng Xu turns around, catching a glimpse of the guest's face. The boyfriend stops, demanding to know who the stranger in the house is. Ningyu coldly dismisses Cheng Xu as nothing more than staff. The door slams shut, leaving Cheng Xu alone with his thoughts. He racks his brain, realizing the boyfriend's face looks hauntingly familiar. It clicks this is the same guy he saw out with his ex-girlfriend. Fury boils over as he realizes Ningyu is being cheated on by a two-timer. The system senses his anger, offering a new choice to initiate a revenge plan. Cheng Xu stares at the screen, weighing the weight of a revenge plan. The app presents two choices, A and B, pulsing with mystery. Doubts creep in as he recalls his previous failures with the software. A warning screen flashes a total relationship reset if he fails. He winces at the brutal penalty, feeling the pressure mount. Determined not to be played, he crosses his arms defiantly. Visions of betrayal fuel his anger while he grips his phone. Gritting his teeth, he gives the system one final chance. He selects option A, letting out a manic, triumphant laugh. The old man looks on, confused by Xu's sudden outburst. Xu snaps back to reality, trying to hide his embarrassment. His employer suggests a walk to calm his nerves. He wanders the neon-lit streets, surrounded by the night crowd. He questions if the app is actually doing anything at all. Suddenly, a familiar face catches his eye amidst the shoppers. He spots his ex-girlfriend and tries to slip away unnoticed. Xiao Mei laughs brightly, oblivious to his presence for now. He realizes the app orchestrated this random encounter. She turns her head, locking eyes with her former flame. She approaches him with a smug, condescending smile. She immediately starts mocking his recent string of bad luck. Xu remains silent, enduring her verbal jabs with a cold stare. She offers to have her new man find him work as a pity gesture. Xu connects the dots, knowing exactly who that boyfriend is. He looks around the restaurant district, searching for the target. He scans the faces nearby, hoping to catch the cheater. Xiao Mei sighs, clearly annoyed by her current situation. She turns to leave, heading toward a luxury hotel instead. Xu stops her, playing the part of the regretful ex. She looks at him with suspicion, wondering if he's serious. She accepts his dinner invite, masking her interest with pride. He maintains a polite facade while judging her internally. She demands a luxury meal, refusing anything less than 5-star. Xu checks his phone, waiting for the system to engage. He begs the app to provide the next step immediately. A chime rings out as 3 restaurant options appear on screen. Cheng Xu stares intensely at his phone, weighing the 3 distinct paths the system has laid out for him. His mind flashes back to his school days, where even a simple multiple-choice test felt like an insurmountable mountain. He grits his teeth, remembering how luck never seemed to be on his side when it came to making the right call. Taking a deep breath to steady his nerves, he searches for a logical link between these specific restaurant locations. A memory flickers of him searching through the kitchen cabinets during his time as a caretaker. He recalls finding a specific set of receipts hidden away in the back of a cupboard. The realization hits him like a bolt of lightning, his eyes widening as the pieces of the puzzle finally click into place. Xiao Mei snaps him out of his thoughts, demanding to know if he's getting cold feet about their dinner plans. With a newfound sense of purpose, he tells her to follow him, leading the way with absolute confidence. They arrive at the entrance of Showa Sushi, a high-end establishment gleaming under the city lights. Xiao Mei immediately excuses herself to find the restroom, leaving Cheng Xu alone to initiate the next phase of his plan. The hostess greets them warmly, unaware of the storm that is about to brew within these walls. Cheng Xu scans the dining area, his gaze sharp as he hunts for his primary targets. Deep in a corner booth, Ningyu sits across from the silver-haired Zhao Feng, the atmosphere between them heavy. Zhao Feng puts on a charming front, urging Ningyu to enjoy the premium ingredients he's ordered for her. Ningyu looks down at her plate, her expression somber as she prepares to deliver some serious news. Sensing the shift in her mood, Zhao Feng watches her closely, his eyes narrowing in suspicion. He abruptly stands up, telling her to continue eating while he takes a quick trip to the bathroom. As soon as he leaves, his phone lights up on the table, vibrating next to a glass of water. Ningyu watches him walk away, her attention drawn to the persistent ringing of the device he left behind. In the hallway, Cheng Xu finally corners the two-timer, spotting him just outside the smoking area. Zhao Feng sneers at the sight of Cheng Xu, mockingly referring to him as Xiao Mei's pathetic spare tire. He leans in with a smug grin, claiming he's finished with Xiao Mei, and is graciously handing her back to her ex. Cheng Xu remains calm, pointedly mentioning that Xiao Mei is under the impression they are still a couple. Zhao Feng lets out a dismissive chuckle, showing zero remorse for his deceptive games. He continues to insult her worth, completely unaware that his audience is larger than he thinks. Suddenly, the door flies open as Xiao Mei bursts out, her face contorted with rage after hearing every word of his betrayal. Zhao Feng's smug expression instantly vanishes, replaced by a look of pure shock as he's caught red-handed. Xiao Mei lunges forward to strike him, but the scumbag is quick enough to catch her wrist mid-air. The confrontation draws Ningyu out into the hallway, where she stands frozen by the unfolding chaos. With cold fury in her eyes, Ningyu declares that everything between them is officially over. Panicking, Zhao Feng tries to backpedal, desperately reminding her of their family's long-standing engagement. Ningyu ignores his pleas and turns her back on him, ready to walk out of his life forever. Seeing his status slip away, Zhao Feng's facade crumbles as he aggressively leans toward her to stop her from leaving. Ningyu recoils in alarm as he blocks her path, his behavior turning increasingly hostile and desperate. He drops all pretenses of being a gentleman, threatening that she isn't going anywhere today. Before he can lay a hand on her, a powerful kick from an unseen angle sends him flying forward. Cheng Xu stands tall over the fallen antagonist, mocking him for being the ultimate scumbag as the revenge plan succeeds perfectly. Zhao Feng's face contorts in a blind rage as he demands to know how Cheng Xu dared to strike him. Unfazed, Cheng Xu coolly explains that he only used his foot, because touching such trash with his hands would be far too disgusting. Ningyu finally reaches her breaking point, declaring that Zhao Feng is truly repulsive, and they need to leave immediately. The two walk away with their heads held high, leaving the disgraced heir to wallow in his own failure. Zhao Feng watches them go with a murderous glare, silently swearing that this humiliation won't go unpunished. Under the quiet glow of the night sky, the group makes their way out of the high-end establishment. As she walks, Ningyu realizes that without this unexpected intervention, she would have been trapped in a lie. The system chimes in as her perception shifts, granting Cheng Xu a significant boost in her favor as she reevaluates his character. A subtle warmth spreads through her as she processes the chaotic events of the evening. Cheng Xu steals a glance at her, feeling the weight of the moment as he nervously gulps. Ningyu catches him looking, her expression turning into one of pure confusion. Her temper flares up instantly and she lashes out, calling him a hopeless pervert for staring. Cheng Xu can only reel in shock, wondering how her mood could possibly flip so fast after he just helped her. Later that night, the city falls silent as the moonlight spills through a bedroom window. Cheng Xu collapses onto his bed, reflecting on a day that felt more like a wild dream than reality. Suddenly, his phone vibrates on the sheets, pulling him back to the present. He stares at the screen in disbelief, seeing a message asking if he's available for the following day. The text invites him to meet at XX Park, setting the stage for an unexpected rendezvous. Panic sets in as he wonders if this is actually a formal date he's been invited to. He falls back with a triumphant laugh, barely able to process his sudden change in fortune. The system interface flickers to life, presenting him with potential targets for his next mission. He realizes with a start that he's actually managing to catch the attention of someone as high status as Su Ningyu. However, he decides to play it safe, acknowledging that a top-tier target like her might be too much of a challenge for now. He focuses on the digital selection, ready to commit to his next strategic move. The next morning at the park, Cheng Xu checks his watch, worried that he might have been stood up after all. Just then, Xia Lingxi rushes over, breathless and apologetic for her slight delay. She looks absolutely stunning in her bright yellow dress, radiating a cheerful energy that lights up the park. Cheng Xu plays it cool, hiding the fact that his nerves drove him to arrive 2 full hours early. Their day kicks off with a movie, where they share a moment of genuine excitement during the high-stakes scenes. He takes a quick photo to capture her infectious smile, enjoying the simple pleasure of her company. They stroll through the grounds with ice cream in hand, the conversation flowing naturally between them. The outing continues at a boutique, where she picks out an elegant black dress to try on. She steps out to show him the sophisticated look, seeking his honest opinion on the fit of the garment. Noticing a small detail out of place, Cheng Xu reaches out to assist with the dress's positioning. He expertly guides her to adjust the angle, ensuring the fabric sits perfectly for a professional aesthetic. He leans in with a focused gaze, maintaining a strictly technical perspective as he checks the final details of the outfit. Inside the cramped booth, Cheng Xu leans in dangerously close to Lingxi. She freezes, her heart racing as she questions his sudden boldness. Caught up in the moment, she shuts her eyes as a wave of thrill washes over her. Lingxi waits with bated breath, fully expecting him to close the distance. However, Cheng Xu is visibly shaken, beads of sweat forming on his forehead. He awkwardly explains that he was only trying to fix her stuck dress zipper. Lingxi opens her eyes, met only with a flustered explanation instead of a kiss. Cheng Xu instantly regrets his hesitation, realizing he completely misread the vibe. Confused, Lingxi wonders why he's being so hesitant when the mood was perfect. Deciding to take charge, she pulls him into a sudden, affectionate embrace. The sudden contact leaves Cheng Xu wide-eyed and totally stunned. She holds him tight, confirming her feelings through this bold gesture. The two share a long, silent moment of connection in the small space. Eventually, they break apart, both breathless from the intensity of the encounter. They head to the register to finalize the purchase of her new outfit. Cheng Xu walks away dazed, wondering if that incredible moment was actually real. Their peaceful exit is cut short when a familiar face blocks their path. Cheng Xu immediately recognizes the newcomer as an old acquaintance named Zhao Ting. He turns to face the intruder, his guard up against the man's arrogant aura. Zhao Ting ignores him, setting his sights on Lingxi with a predatory gaze. With a smug smirk, he demands an introduction to the beautiful woman at Cheng's side. Cheng Xu doesn't flinch, coldly stating that Lingxi is his girlfriend. Zhao Ting laughs it off, mockingly clutching Cheng's shoulder while insulting his status. Fed up with the disrespect, Cheng Xu forcefully shoves the guy's hand away. Zhao Ting takes a confident step forward, refusing to back down. He shifts his focus back to Lingxi, trying to charm her away from the MC. The jerk continues to belittle Cheng Xu, promising her a better life if she switches sides. Lingxi remains silent, her face shadowed with growing indignation. Her hand tightens into a fist as she prepares to respond to the insults. Without warning, she delivers a sharp slap that echoes through the mall. Shocked and pained, Zhao Ting recoils from the unexpected physical rejection. Lingxi stares him down, making it clear that no one insults her boyfriend. She firmly takes Cheng Xu's hand, signaling that they are finished here. The couple turns their backs on the loser, walking away in total unison. Left alone in disgrace, Zhao Ting's expression twists into a mask of pure hatred. He quickly pulls out his phone to contact his cousin for backup. He promises the person on the other end that he'll make Cheng Xu pay. With a vengeful glare, he watches them disappear into the crowd, plotting his next move. The duo walks away, leaving the confrontation behind. Cheng Xu expresses his sincere gratitude to Lingxi for standing up for him. Lingxi insists that as a couple, they must face every challenge together. He watches her, moved by her incredible kindness and resolve. A sudden rumble of thunder interrupts their moment of peace. Fearing a downpour, Cheng Xu offers to escort her home safely. They arrive at her apartment complex as the evening settles in. Cheng Xu feels a wave of nervous energy as he prepares to enter. Unbeknownst to them, a dark figure monitors their every move from the shadows. Cold eyes stare out from behind a mask fixed on the target. Waiting inside, Cheng Xu gulps nervously, his heart racing. He sits on the bed, struggling to believe his sudden change in fortune. Overwhelmed with joy, he can't stop blushing at his luck. He kisses his phone, thanking the mysterious app for changing his life. Suddenly, a hand turns the door handle with a quiet click. Soft footsteps move across the floor toward the unsuspecting MC. He turns, assuming Lingxi has finished her evening routine. The room suddenly plunges into darkness, heightening the tension. A confident smirk plays on his lips as he anticipates a surprise. A menacing silhouette looms directly behind him in the shadows. Cheng Xu reaches out into the void, expecting to find Lingxi. A hand violently clamps over his mouth, silencing his surprise. Lingxi emerges from the bathroom, confused by the empty room. She looks around, wondering how he could have vanished so abruptly. Heavy rain lashes against a secluded, industrial warehouse. A narrow view reveals the dark interior of the facility. The kidnapper grunts, maintaining his stoic and threatening presence. He stands over his captive, ready to carry out his grim task. Cheng Xu finally opens his eyes, disoriented by the dim lighting. He quickly realizes he is bound tightly to a chair with heavy rope. Terrified, he demands to know the reason for his abduction. The man unsheathes a blade, claiming he's just following orders. A sharp knife is pressed against his throat as his life hangs in the balance. Bound and helpless, Cheng Xu's dire predicament triggers a sudden and mysterious system notification. The mercenary freezes, his eyes widening as he realizes the target knows far too much about his private life. He momentarily recalls the quiet moments of Carrie shared with the man he once considered his only ally. Those memories of a deep, personal bond now feel like a distant and painful dream. Cheng Xu reads the room instantly, sensing the hidden history between his captor and the antagonist. As the blade slices through the air, the protagonist barely manages to dodge the lethal strike. With his heart racing, Cheng Xu locks eyes with the killer and shouts for him to stop immediately. He desperately declares that the mercenary has been played like a pawn from the very start of this mission. The kidnapper hesitates, the cold steel of his resolve beginning to fracture under the weight of doubt. Cheng Xu reveals his knowledge of the secret alliance with Zhao Ting, forcing a tense stalemate. Stunned, the mercenary demands to know how a total stranger could uncover such a private detail. Ignoring the threat, Cheng Xu offers a way to expose the true, dark intentions of his employer. The loyalist refuses to believe it, insisting that Zhao Ting is the one person in the world who wouldn't lie to him. Cheng Xu issues a bold challenge, promising to provide undeniable proof of the betrayal before the night is over. Silence hangs heavy in the air as the captor ponders the weight of a possible deception. Under the cover of darkness, the Zhao family villa stands as a quiet monument to arrogance. Inside, Zhao Ting handles a high-stakes phone call with a cold and calculating gaze. He celebrates what he believes is the successful elimination of his greatest rival. He requests more time from his associates to finalize the next phase of his grand plan. With a sharp click, he ends the call, satisfied that his path to power is finally clear. His professional collaborator offers a smile, acknowledging their shared business goals for the evening. They maintain a strictly professional focus on their strategic planning during the late-night session. Suddenly, a sharp noise from the hallway shatters the quiet of the office. The assistant gasps in horror, pointing toward the eerie shadows lurking near the entrance. Two figures emerge from the darkness like vengeful spirits seeking immediate justice. Cheng Xu slides the door open, his silhouette casting an intimidating glow across the room. Zhao Ting recoils in pure terror, convinced he is seeing a ghost returned from the grave. Heavy footsteps echo through the villa as the confrontation turns physical. Cheng Xu seizes his enemy by the collar, demanding accountability for his recent crimes. Panicked and desperate, Zhao Ting immediately throws his loyal mercenary under the bus to save himself. Cheng Xu plays along, feigning confusion about who this mysterious Wen Yao could be. Zhao Ting scoffs, describing his most loyal protector as nothing more than a delusional psycho. The protagonist pushes further, getting the villain to admit he planned to frame the killer for the murder. Thinking he's safe, Zhao Ting confirms his intent to betray his partner, while begging for mercy. A dark, triumphant smirk plays across Cheng Xu's face as the trap is finally sprung. He asks the villain if he truly understands the gravity of the words he just spoke aloud. From the shadows, the heartbroken mercenary steps forward to confront the man he once served. Zhao Ting's face drains of all color as he realizes his betrayal has been witnessed by the victim. With tears of rage, the mercenary demands to know how his partner could be so heartless. Chaos erupts as the betrayed warrior lunges forward, seeking immediate retribution for the lies. Zhao Ting struggles to break free, lashing out with insults in a fit of absolute cowardice. His pleas for help fall on deaf ears as he faces the consequences of his own manipulation. Standing back, Cheng Xu watches the fallout with the cold precision of a master strategist. The system presents a final, critical choice that will determine the fate of everyone in the room. Cheng Xu realizes that while Zhao Ting is a snake, he cannot allow this confrontation to spiral into a fatal crime. He lunges forward, firmly gripping Wen Yao's arm to stop her from delivering a lethal blow. Wen Yao snarls in frustration, demanding to be released. But Cheng Xu warns her that a life in prison isn't worth this revenge. She glares back at him, her eyes burning with a volatile mix of betrayal and lingering rage. Cheng Xu keeps his focus sharp, calculating the best way to defuse the situation before more blood is spilled. He recalls the image of the woman caught in the middle of Zhao Ting's elaborate web of lies. It becomes clear to him that Zhao Ting's manipulation of everyone around him runs far deeper than a simple business betrayal. Suddenly, the glint of a blade cuts through the air as the threat of violence escalates once more. Zhao Ting's face pales with pure terror as he realizes just how close he is to a violent end. Wen Yao's gaze remains icy and detached, focused entirely on the man who discarded her like a broken tool. Cheng Xu shouts for them to stop the madness before someone loses their life. High above the city streets, the lights of the urban skyline flicker under a quiet, deceptive night. On a private balcony, a silver-haired man wonders if Zhao Ting has successfully finished cleaning up the current mess. His phone interrupts the silence with a series of sharp, urgent beeps signaling new messages. He checks the screen, expecting a routine update on their illicit operations. His expression shifts to one of total shock as the digital evidence reveals the truth of the situation. He slams his hand down in a fit of fury, realizing his own cousin has been playing him for a fool this entire time. Back at the villa, the dust finally begins to settle as the combatants drift apart in the aftermath of the chaos. Wen Yao looks down, her cold exterior cracking as she realizes Cheng Xu protected her future despite her earlier hostility. Cheng Xu offers a modest smile, trying to frame his life-saving intervention as a simple misunderstanding. An unfamiliar blush creeps across Wen Yao's face as she is overcome with sudden, intense embarrassment. Cheng Xu shifts uncomfortably, noticing the strange and unexpected way the mercenary is now staring at him. A system notification blazes across his vision, showing Wen Yao's affection level skyrocketing to an impossible degree. Needing to escape the awkward atmosphere, Cheng Xu quickly waves a polite goodbye and prepares to make his exit. He finally exhales a deep breath of relief once he is safely away from the villa and the danger. His phone vibrates with a new set of instructions, tasking him with a professional delivery for a high-ranking executive. He arrives at the massive Su Group skyscraper, a monument to corporate power and technical influence. Cheng Xu weaves through the sea of busy employees flooding the main lobby during the afternoon rush. In the middle of the bustle, he accidentally collides with a woman walking the opposite direction. He catches a glimpse of her face, finding her professional features to be strikingly familiar. Both of them freeze in surprise as they realize they were once close classmates during their college years. He remembers Lu Dai as the quintessential top student who was always polite and followed every rule. Cheng Xu quickly opens his system app to check her current stats, but the data he sees makes his heart skip a beat. A massive red warning icon flashes as the system highlights a terrifyingly high destructiveness rating hidden behind her smile. He stares at the seemingly innocent woman, realizing her goody-two-shoes persona is a mask for a very dangerous secret. Cheng Xu is floored, staring at data that completely contradicts the innocent image of the person standing before him. The system screen reveals a shocking truth, a history of manipulation and a thirst for high-end luxury. He realizes the perfect student everyone admires is actually a master of deception hidden in plain sight. The system further exposes her history of corporate sabotage, proving she'll betray anyone to satisfy her own selfish desires. Lu Dai shoots him a look of pure loathing, internally labeling him a creep for seeing right through her mask. Desperate to escape his penetrating gaze, she coldly announces she has business elsewhere and turns to leave. Suddenly, Su Ningyu steps in, demanding to know the connection between these two former classmates. Cheng Xu tries to play it cool with a casual wave, but the air is thick with unspoken tension. Sensing a threat, Ningyu immediately places herself between them to shield her friend from his sight. With a defiant huff, she turns her head away, making her utter disapproval crystal clear. Cheng Xu rubs the back of his neck, realizing he's still deep in her bad books after their last encounter. Ningyu leans in to whisper a stern warning, branding Cheng Xu a dangerous pervert to his face. He can't help but feel the sting of the insult, hearing every word of her harsh judgment. Maintaining her professional composure, she holds out the package sent by Mr. Xu to fulfill her duty. Her eyes flash with cold authority as she dismisses him from her presence immediately. A system prompt flashes before his eyes, forcing him to decide between exposing the truth or staying silent. Ningyu pulls Lai into a protective embrace, vowing to defend her friend at all costs. Seeing their close bond, Cheng Xu realizes that convincing Ningyu of the truth will be nearly impossible right now. Without another word, Ningyu leads her friend away, leaving Cheng Xu standing alone in the hallway. He watches them go with a heavy sigh, pitying the fact that Ningyu is unknowingly protecting a predator. His gaze hardens as he vows to stop Lu Dai's schemes before she can cause any more damage. Later that night, the scene shifts to the neon-lit entrance of the Lulu bar. Inside, Ningyu wonders why her friend is barely touching her drink while she's drowning her own sorrows. Ningyu is clearly distressed, her eyes glazed as she struggles with the weight of her emotions. The empty bottles pile up on the table, marking the passage of a long and heavy night of drinking. Finally, the alcohol wins, and Ningyu collapses onto the table, falling into a deep, unconscious stupor. Seizing the moment, Lu Dai's expression shifts as she begins searching through Ningyu's bag for something valuable. She slips out of the bar alone, navigating the shadows of a deserted back alley to avoid being seen. She pauses at the edge of a corner, cautiously scanning the area to ensure the coast is clear. But before she can make her next move, a hand suddenly clamps over her mouth, catching the deceiver completely off guard. A mysterious man suddenly grabs Lu Dai, ordering her to stay silent. She spins around, breathless from the shock, and demands to know why he's lured her out suddenly. His patience has reached its limit as he warns her that time is running out to deliver the stolen goods. Lu Dai pulls her arm away, desperately pleading for just a little more time to complete the corporate heist. He lets her go, and she straightens her clothes, anxious to get back to the office before she's missed. As she retreats into the distance, the man watches her departure with cold, calculating eyes. Lu Dai's expression hardens into one of pure malice as she focuses on her next deceptive move. Nearby, a discarded bottle is kicked aside with a sharp clink, signaling a new player has entered the scene. Mr. Ma pauses, his eyes narrowing as he senses someone approaching him from the shadows. A stranger steps forward, blocking Ma's path and requesting a private word regarding business. Ma stares him down, demanding to know the identity of this bold interloper. The man removes his cap, revealing a face that Ma doesn't recognize but one that promises a lucrative deal. Ma scoffs in disbelief, questioning the stranger's sanity for stopping him in such a manner. The stranger drops a bombshell, claiming he can provide the Su Group's most sensitive core files. Ma's head snaps from side to side, checking the area for any hidden witnesses to this potential corporate espionage. He remains skeptical, demanding a reason why he should trust a complete stranger with such high stakes. The man explains he's a disgruntled Su family caretaker who wants to see the corporate empire crumble. Ma's lips curl into a smirk as the prospect of destroying his rivals becomes a reality. The informant lays out his price, a hefty sum of hush money and the custody of a specific individual. Intrigued, Ma leans in to find out exactly who this mysterious person is. The stranger names Lu Dai, spinning a tale about an old college mate he wants to take off Ma's hands. Ma's mind races as he imagines his group rising to the top, already planning to frame this punk if things go south. He taps the stranger's shoulder, sealing the deal with a deceptive show of camaraderie. The stranger looks him in the eye, confirming if Ma is truly willing to hand Lu Dai over. Ma maintains a friendly facade, though internally he plans to ensure the stranger ends up with absolutely nothing. The two men exchange contact information and part ways, finalizing the 3-day deadline for the exchange. Back at his desk, the protagonist begins typing away, executing the next phase of his elaborate plan. He navigates to a citywide social networking site, creating a fake profile for Ma Fei. With a few clicks, the registration is confirmed, and the digital trap is officially set. His computer screen flashes instantly with an incoming notification from the platform. A message pops up from a user eager to meet the person behind the newly created profile. Outside, the sun shines over the city skyline as the clock continues to tick toward the meeting. The protagonist leans back in his chair, satisfied that the pieces of his plan are falling into place perfectly. A final confirmation message arrives, setting the meeting for the following night. 3 days later, the sound of a lock clicking open echoes through a quiet, darkened hallway. Mr. Miss steps into the room, confused as to why the lights haven't been turned on for his arrival. He freezes as a massive figure looms directly behind him in the shadows. A heavy hand drops onto his shoulder as the stranger greets him with unexpected and overwhelming familiarity. Ma spins around, his face pale with shock as he demands to know the stranger's identity. Panic sets in as he recoils, shouting for the imposing man to stay away from him. Mr. Ma lies defeated, feeling his world crumble. He realizes the physical gap between them is insurmountable. Tears of frustration fall as he faces total humiliation. A taunting message arrives, and Ma swears to make the punk pay. The blackmail video serves as a digital leash, threatening his reputation. Life continues normally outside the bustling Su Group headquarters. Cheng Xu tracks down Lu Dai amidst the crowd. She is clearly unimpressed by his presence. He leads with a simple dinner invitation to lower her guard. Lu Dai immediately shuts him down with a fake date excuse. Adjusting his glasses, he drops a cryptic warning about her current associations. Panic sets in as she wonders how he knows her secrets. She tries to maintain her composure and walk away. He stops her abruptly, catching her off balance. She demands an explanation for his bold behavior. Without a word, he slips a USB drive into her hand. Left alone, she stares at the mysterious device in silence. She returns to her apartment to uncover the truth. Seated at her desk, she prepares to see what's on the drive. The screen flickers to life as she starts the playback. She watches in horror as Ma dismisses her as a mere pawn. He coldly admits he has no concern for her future. Betrayal turns into a burning rage against the man she served. A sudden notification breaks her focus. She sees through a friend's message, viewing it as shallow pity. Bitterness consumes her as she reflects on her sacrifices. Her gaze hardens with a new, vengeful resolve. She types back to Cheng Xu, playing into his supposed feelings to start her revenge. Cheng Xu smirks, knowing the trap is finally set. Xiao Yu starts her morning calmly at her computer with a hot drink. She clicks play on a mysterious video file sent to her. Her heart sinks as she sees her grandfather bound and gagged on screen. The cup shatters on the floor as she screams out in pure terror. A masked figure on the screen demands she meet at Shihill alone. Behind the scenes, Cheng Xu pulls off the mask with a sigh of relief. Grandpa casually removes his own gag, revealing the kidnapping was a complete ruse. The old man playfully critiques his own dramatic performance to his partner. Cheng Xu laughs, giving the old man a supportive thumbs up for the act. He curiously asks why the elderly man decided to trust him with such a scheme. Grandpa explains that genuine kindness toward the elderly is a rare trait he admires. He places a hand on the young man's shoulder, entrusting Xiao Yu's safety to him. Cheng Xu hardens his resolve, promising to expose the traitor lurking nearby. Back in reality, Lu Dai's heels click against the floor as she approaches. She enters the room, feigning concern over the visible distress on Xiao Yu's face. Overwhelmed by the video, Xiao Yu struggles to find the words to explain. Lu Dai immediately plants seeds of doubt by bringing up Cheng Xu's name. Xiao Yu realizes the kidnapper must be her grandfather's caretaker. She tries to call for answers, but the line remains frustratingly dead. Lu Dai presses further, acting the part of the protective friend. She fabricates a lie about Cheng Xu's recent suspicious behavior and hostility. Believing the deception, Xiao Yu expresses her gratitude for the timely warning. A dark smirk crosses Lu Dai's face as her manipulation takes hold. Night falls over the desolate peaks of Hill. A red car speeds toward the meeting point under the moonlight. Xiao Yu arrives, desperately checking her phone for any new messages. Suddenly, a hand clamps over her mouth, cutting off any chance to scream. Cheng Xu pulls her close, urgently explaining they have no time left to waste. Xiao Yu is stunned to learn that Lu Dai is the mastermind behind the chaos, but Cheng Xu quickly reassures her that her grandfather is perfectly safe. She narrows her eyes in deep suspicion, questioning why she should place any trust in his words at this point. Cheng Xu counters with cold logic, pointing out that if he truly intended to harm her, he would have finished the job long ago. Realizing she has no other viable options, Xiao Yu decides to play along and monitor his every move. She finally gives the order to move out, leading the way through the darkened woods. Suddenly, the scene shifts to a dire situation where Xiao Yu is bound tightly against a massive tree, completely immobilized. Lu Dai steps into view with a venomous smirk, mocking her former friend for being so easily blindsided by the betrayal. Despite her predicament, Xiao Yu stares back with a look of pure, unadulterated defiance. Lu Dai continues her verbal assault, relishing the sight of Xiao Yu's current helpless state. The tension snaps as Lu Dai delivers a stinging slap, demanding that Xiao Yu drop her stoic facade once and for all. Gritting her teeth, Lu Dai blames Xiao Yu's constant paranoia for ruining her initial plans to seize everything she wanted. The assault turns physical once more as Lu Dai roughly seizes Xiao Yu, her face twisted with pure malice. Watching from the sidelines, Cheng Xu is genuinely disturbed by the sheer instability Lu Dai is displaying. He steps in to intervene, warning the crazed woman that her aggression is reaching a lethal level that will suffocate their captive. Lu Dai sneers at his interference, questioning if he's actually developed genuine feelings for the girl. Tied up and helpless, Xiao Yu can only watch as the people she thought she knew spiral into madness. Suddenly, the sound of tires screeching against the dirt breaks the heavy silence of the night. Both Cheng Xu and Lu Dai snap their heads toward the road, alerted by the sudden arrival of an unknown vehicle. Lu Dai leans in close to his final threat, ordering Xiao Yu to keep her mouth shut if she wants her grandfather to remain unharmed. A shadowy figure approaches from the vehicle, his face partially obscured as he eyes the trio suspiciously. Two rough-looking men step forward, questioning why three people are loitering in the middle of the woods at such a late hour. Lu Dai immediately puts on an act of being a lost traveler, while Cheng Xu maintains his position nearby. The man with the arm tattoo offers them a ride, claiming the area is far too dangerous for civilians to be wandering around. Soon, they are all packed into the car, driving away from the site of the confrontation. The driver casually mentions they are low on fuel and suggests they all hunker down at his place until the morning. Cheng Xu looks down at his device, puzzled by why the mission completion percentage hasn't reached its goal yet. Looking out the window as the car speeds away, a chilling realization hits him. He recognizes these men as Lu Dai's secret cronies. Xiao Yu sits in the back, debating whether she should scream for help from these strangers to escape her captors. Just as she prepares to speak, Cheng Xu's heart sinks, knowing that revealing the truth to these thugs will put them all in immediate danger. Cheng Xu pulls the girl close, letting out a sharp cuff to signal for her silence. While Xiao Yu wonders if they're in immediate danger, Cheng Xu remains cold, knowing he could have ended her already, if that were his goal. Xiao Yu stares back, her eyes filled with a mix of confusion and mounting suspicion. From the front seat, the driver glances back and casually asks what's going on with the passengers. Thinking fast, Xiao Yu claims she's simply feeling a bit thirsty to deflect any further questioning from the driver. Cheng Xu lets out a heavy breath, relieved that they managed to bypass that incredibly close call. The driver stares ahead with a cold gaze, telling them to hang on as they approach their final destination. The car finally pulls up to a secluded two-story house that serves as the group's temporary hideout. Inside, Lu Dai meets with her muscle to finalize the dark details of their secret operation. She coldly instructs them that she will handle the initial knockout before the men take care of the rest. One of the henchmen double-checks the plan, asking if she's absolutely certain about finishing the targets off. Lu Dai gestures dismissively, insisting that the ending must conclude exactly as she's envisioned in her plan. Hidden just outside the room, Cheng Xu listens intently to every word of their murderous plot. He realizes with a start that Lu Dai's real intention is to stage a fake accident to eliminate both him and Xiao Yu. He understands that as the last person seen with her, he's being set up as the perfect fall guy for her disappearance. Returning to the room, Cheng Xu stands before a wary Xiao Yu, preparing for their next move. Lu Dai soon enters the room, maintaining a polite facade while carrying a tray with 2 cups of water. She carefully sets the refreshments down, her lethal plan finally in motion. Seizing the moment, Cheng Xu shouts in alarm, claiming a giant cockroach is crawling on Lu Dai's back. Panic strikes Lu Dai as she frantically shakes her clothes to get rid of the imaginary pest. In a blur of motion, Cheng Xu expertly swaps the positions of the 2 cups on the tray while she is distracted. He casually tells her the bug must have vanished, hiding his true intent behind a wall of feigned concern. The two raise their glasses in a mock toast to celebrate their supposed partnership. Lu Dai takes a confident sip, believing she has finally won this high-stakes game of wits. Cheng Xu follows suit, drinking deeply from the safe cup he just secured for himself. He keeps the act alive by bringing up her previous promise to become his girlfriend in the future. Lu Dai scoffs at the idea, mocking the thought of anyone wanting to be a dead man's girlfriend. Cheng Xu plays the part of the confused victim perfectly, asking her what she could possibly mean by that. Dropping all pretenses, Lu Dai reveals that the drivers are her men and that both of them will die today. Suddenly, her smug expression falters as a wave of intense dizziness hits her, like a freight train. Realization dawning too late, she clutches her head as the poison she intended for them begins to take effect on her. Her vision starts to blur, the images of her intended victims fading into a hazy distortion. With a dull thud, Lu Dai loses consciousness and collapses onto the nearby bed. Cheng Xu quickly turns to Xiao Yu, urging her to move fast so they can execute their escape before the henchmen arrive. Xiao Yu looks on with pure hesitation, questioning if they really have to go through with this risky plan right here. Cheng Xu remains firm, insisting this is their only shot at escaping before their time completely runs out. Stealing her resolve, Xiao Yu gives a small nod, accepting that this dangerous gamble is their best bet. To allow her to prepare for the disguise, Cheng Xu professionally turns his back to ensure she has the necessary privacy. Emerging from the room, Xiao Yu is now fully disguised in a new outfit, ready to play her part in the deception. A henchman approaches, sneering as he asks if the punk inside has finally been taken care of. Keeping her cool under pressure, Xiao Yu confirms the job is done, successfully fooling the guard. The guard tells her to go take a break, confident that he and his partner can handle the final cleanup. Xiao Yu maintains her pace, walking past the second guard without breaking her stride or her cover. The 2 henchmen regroup, discussing whether it's time to head inside and finish the job. One guard decides to stay back to maintain a perimeter, leaving his partner to handle the business inside. With a sinister smirk, the first thug prepares to enter, eager to see the results of their handiwork. He swings the door open and steps into the room, unaware that the tables have been turned. On the floor, Cheng Xu plays the part of a victim perfectly, slumped over as if the poison has already taken effect. The thug spots a figure lying on the bed and assumes his target is right where he wants them. A dark grin spreads across his face as he leans in, thinking he's about to catch his prey off guard. He reaches out toward the bed, completely oblivious to the identity of the person lying there. His heart stops when he sees the face of Lu Dai, realizing her own plan has backfired spectacularly. Panic sets in as the thug realizes he's walked straight into disaster. Before he can react, a heavy wooden club comes swinging down with bone-shattering force. Cheng Xu stands over his captive with a cold, piercing gaze, making it clear he's now the one in control. The thug is quickly bound to a chair, trembling with fear as he stares up at his captor. Cheng Xu begins his interrogation, warning the man that his survival depends entirely on his cooperation. Outside, the remaining guard checks his phone, growing impatient as the silence from the room stretches on. Suddenly, a muffled plea for help echoes from inside the room, catching the guard's attention. His instincts flare as he shifts into a high-alert combat stance, sensing that something is seriously wrong. Wasting no more time, he draws his weapon and prepares to storm the room with lethal intent. Xiao Yu sprints through the dark woods, her heart hammering against her ribs as she flees the scene. She eventually skids to a halt, doubling over to catch her breath, while the adrenaline continues to surge through her veins. Looking back at the distant building, she realizes she can't just leave her partner behind to face the danger alone. Her eyes harden with sudden determination as she decides that if he's in trouble because of her, she has to go back. Meanwhile, the second guard bursts into the room, scanning the area for any sign of a struggle. He freezes in shock the moment he spots his partner bound tightly to a chair and completely incapacitated. The thug realizes the situation is dire and prepares his blade to deal with the intruder once and for all. He grits his teeth in fury, realizing that this simple job has spiraled into a total disaster. Cheng Xu stares down the barrel of a gun, realizing his bluff has finally run its course. The guard towers over him with a murderous glare, ready to pull the trigger to silence him forever. Beads of sweat roll down Cheng Xu's face as he laments how close he came to finishing the mission. He closes his eyes and braces for the end, hoping that Xiao Yu managed to reach safety in time. To his absolute disbelief, he hears a loud crash and snaps his eyes open to find himself still breathing. The guard lets out a shrill, agonizing cry as a sudden, heavy impact sends him reeling backward. Xiao Yu stands defiantly at the doorway, having returned in the nick of time to rescue her savior. The thug is forced to drop his weapon, clutching his midsection in pure, unadulterated pain. Driven by desperate rage, the guard lunges for the gun again, swearing to send them both to hell. His counterattack is short-lived as he collapses to the floor, weeping from the sheer force of the blow he took. Cheng Xu wastes no time seizing the discarded pistol and leveling it at the defeated criminal. With the threat neutralized, Cheng Xu nervously tries to find the right words to explain the chaotic turn of events. Xiao Yu turns her head away, her face flushing as the tension of the battle finally begins to fade. She looks back at him with a soft, sparkling gaze, quietly thanking him for putting his life on the line. A digital notification flashes on the phone screen, signaling that the high-stakes mission has been successfully cleared. As the flashing lights of police cruisers illuminate the night, the two survivors stand side by side in the aftermath. Xiao Yu softly calls out to him, her expression suggesting there is still something important on her mind. Cheng Xu looks over with a sheepish expression, worried that she is about to bring up his earlier accidental clumsiness. Cheng Xu stares at his screen in disbelief, questioning why the app is pushing a side chick mission when he's already committed to Lingxi. He looks down at the prompt, determined not to become the kind of scumbag who would entertain such a choice. Beads of sweat form as he prepares to hit no, hoping to end this digital nightmare once and for all. Suddenly, a ding echoes as the screen flashes a forced activation for the Su Ningyu mission. His eyes widen in pure shock, his face darkening as the app takes control of his fate. The system coldly explains that it reserves the right to override his choices to ensure he finds true love. Cheng Xu lashes out at the device, accusing the AI of messing with his life just as a familiar face appears. Ningyu stands there with her arms crossed, offering a simple dinner invitation as a gesture of thanks for his help. He stammers in confusion, the word dinner catching him completely off guard. Without waiting for an answer, she unilaterally decides they will meet at the garden restaurant in 2 days. He reaches out to protest the sudden plan, but she's already turning away, leaving him in the dust. Panic sets in as he clutches his head, realizing he's backed into a corner he can't escape. He stares at the confirmation text on his screen, the reality of the situation finally sinking in. 2 nights later, the neon signs of the garden restaurant glow, signaling the start of a very dangerous evening. Cheng Xu stands in the hallway, caught between 2 doors and the weight of 2 different lives. A quick check of his messages reveals that Lingxi is already waiting for him in room 2. He considers just being honest with Ningyu, his hand resting nervously behind his head as he weighs the consequences. The app dings again, warning him that failing this mission will reset his relationship status with his current girlfriend. He lets out a frustrated sigh, realizing the system has left him with absolutely zero room to maneuver. He approaches the door, the floral wallpaper of the restaurant feeling more like a prison cell. Ningyu notices his erratic behavior immediately, questioning why he's acting so out of character during their meal. Her gaze sharpens, suspecting that he might not actually want to be there with her. Cheng Xu waves his hands frantically, desperate to hide the chaotic thoughts racing through his mind. He beats a hasty retreat, claiming he needs to use the restroom to buy himself some much-needed time. Tucking himself away, he checks his phone to see Lingxi apologizing for being stuck in traffic. Back at the table, Ningyu rests her chin on her hand, deeply suspicious of his strange behavior. A sudden thud from the adjacent area catches her attention, making her pause in mid-thought. She tilts her head, certain that she recognizes the frantic voice echoing from the other side of the wall. In the next room, Cheng Xu is already checking on Lingxi, maintaining a strictly professional focus on her well-being after she trips. The tension skyrockets as Ningyu knocks on the door, calling out his name with growing suspicion. Cheng Xu freezes in absolute terror, realizing his double life has just collided in the worst way possible. The door handle turns as Ningyu prepares to leave her room. She suddenly halts as a notification vibrates in her palm. It's a call from her father demanding her immediate attention. Inside the other room, Cheng Xu is drenched in a cold sweat of pure panic. Lingxi notices his distress and asks why he looks so shaken. He ignores her concern, his mind racing with thoughts of Ningyu's whereabouts. Lingxi reaches out, checking if a sudden fever has struck him. He brushes it off, claiming he just feels slightly unwell and needs rest. She remains worried, offering to escort him home to ensure he is safe. He insists on going alone, desperate to separate her from the restaurant. Lingxi waves a final goodbye as she departs the building. He watches her go, silently cursing the app for forcing this deception. A sharp chime warns him that his relationship status is nearing a dangerous low. He stands outside Ningyu's door, bracing for the inevitable confrontation. Anxiety peaks as he realizes he has been gone far too long. He considers blaming a long bathroom line for his extended absence. Or perhaps he could claim he was searching for his lost phone. Suddenly, a firm hand taps his shoulder from behind. Ningyu catches him red-handed, questioning his suspicious behavior in the hallway. They return to their seats, an oppressive silence filling the air. Her gaze is sharp and unforgiving as she studies his every move. The pressure builds as her eyes lock onto him with intensity. Cheng Xu begs for her to say something to break the tension. She finally speaks, asking why she heard his voice in the adjacent room. She bluntly asks if he's secretly meeting another person behind her back. He forces a hollow laugh, desperately trying to play it off as a misunderstanding. Ningyu isn't buying the act, her expression remaining skeptical. He takes a sip of water, trying to steady his trembling hands. Out of nowhere, she drops a bombshell and demands he go out with her. The tension shifts from the hallway into a quiet corner of the restaurant as the two settle in. Just as Cheng Xu tries to cool his nerves with a drink, Ningyu drops a bombshell by demanding they go out. The shock is so sudden that he sends a spray of water flying across the table in total disbelief. Panicked, he frantically apologizes for the mess while trying to process her impossible request. Ningyu looks away, finally ready to reveal the desperate truth behind her bold words. She clarifies that she isn't looking for a real spark, but needs him to play the role of her boyfriend. It turns out her father had been relentlessly pushing her to meet a hand-picked suitor earlier that day. Despite the pressure of the family fortune, Ningyu insisted she could handle her personal life on her own. In a moment of pure desperation, she lied to her father and claimed she was already in a relationship. Her father's voice explodes over the phone, caught completely off guard by his daughter's sudden defiance. Now, the stern patriarch demands an immediate face-to-face meeting to inspect this mystery man. Back in the present, Ningyu admits she's cornered and has no one else she can trust with this charade. Cheng Xu hesitates, realizing that stepping into an elite family's drama is a massive risk. Seeing his silence, Ningyu's hope begins to wither as she prepares for a rejection. But remembering how she supported him before, he realizes he can't just leave her to face this alone. Just as she tells him to forget the whole thing and prepares to walk away, the mood shifts. Cheng Xu reaches out to stop her, refusing to let her walk into the lion's den without backup. With a look of grim determination, he officially commits to the dangerous plan. The pair soon arrives at a massive, sprawling estate that radiates wealth and strict tradition. Staff members bow in perfect unison as the couple makes their way toward the entrance. The heavy doors swing open to reveal Ninyu's father waiting like a sentinel in the foyer. He fixes Cheng Xu with a piercing, judgmental gaze, questioning if he is truly the boyfriend. Cheng Xu introduces himself as politely as possible, feeling the crushing weight of the man's presence. Suddenly, the father's icy exterior melts away into a surprisingly warm and welcoming smile. Cheng Xu is left completely reeling, baffled by a reaction that is the total opposite of what he imagined. The host insists on personally heading to the kitchen to prepare a dinner for the two of them. He then singles out Cheng Xu, asking the young man to join him for a moment of assistance. Once they are alone in the kitchen, the friendly atmosphere begins to evaporate instantly. The father begins to expertly carve through a slab of meat with a sharp, clinical precision. With the mask finally slipping, he looks up with a cold glare and orders Cheng Xu to leave his daughter. The father stands tall, his cold gaze piercing through the MC as the relationship meter plummets to a staggering -500. He drops the facade entirely, telling the boy to stop acting because he knows this relationship is a total sham. Panic sets in for the MC as he desperately wonders how his cover could have been blown so quickly. The old man leans in close, making it clear that whether the love is real or not, the MC has absolutely no choice but to walk away. Suddenly, Ningyu appears in the doorway, her voice full of suspicion as she asks her father about the commotion. In a flash, the father switches back to a friendly act, throwing an arm around the MC and claiming they were just discussing recipes. Forced into the charade, the MC manages a strained smile and tries his best to play the part of the perfect guest. He quickly makes his move to escape the tension, suggesting he and Ningyu head back to the living room. The father's eyes remain hard as stone as he lets them leave, whispering a final chilling reminder to not forget his ultimatum. Back on the couch, the two collaborators huddle together, whispering frantically about the danger they're in. Ningyu suggests a tactical retreat, telling him to find any excuse so they can get out of the house before things get worse. But the escape is cut short when a firm hand suddenly clamps down on the MC's shoulder from behind. The father looms over them with a fake warmth, insisting that they stay and eat dinner before they even think about leaving. He stares down the young man with a look that says he isn't taking no for an answer. The three take their seats at the dining table, the air heavy with an unspoken and suffocating tension. The father studies the MC's every move, looking for any crack in his armor while the boy tries to keep his composure. Then comes the test. The father asks the MC to serve Ningyu her absolute favorite dish from the spread. Sweat beads on the MC's brow as he realizes he has no idea what she likes to eat. The father folds his hands, a sinister smirk creeping onto his face as he waits for the boy to fail. In his mind, he's already picturing the moment he exposed the fraud and kicks the boy out of the house for good. But the MC remembers he has a secret advantage that the old man didn't count on. He quickly pulls up his digital interface, revealing Ningyu's personal data and her preference for steamed fish. He scans the table, spotting the fish tucked away among a variety of other deceptive options. The father watches like a hawk, ready to pounce the second those chopsticks touch the wrong plate. He knows his daughter despises the century eggs, and he's certain the MC is about to walk right into his trap. He tenses up, his hand gripping the table as he prepares for the ultimate gotcha moment. With perfect precision, the MC reaches out and picks up a tender piece of fish to place on Ningyu's plate. The father's jaw drops in genuine shock, his flawless plan falling apart right before his eyes. The MC looks back at him with feigned innocence, wondering if there's a problem with the service. Recovering quickly, the old man lets out a hollow laugh, claiming he just remembered a humorous anecdote. Internally, he seethes, realizing that to get rid of this pest, he's going to have to play much dirtier. The tense dinner is shattered when a bloody guard bursts through the doors, screaming about an emergency. A masked assassin steps over the fallen man, leveling a pistol at the group and declaring the end of the Su family. The dinner table flips violently as Su's father shields Ningyu from the sudden chaos. Gunshots ring out through the room as an assassin opens fire. Pinned behind the debris, the father realizes their cover won't hold for long. Two masked gunmen close in, demanding they surrender and face their end. Looking back at the kids, the father sternly orders them to stay hidden no matter what. Wood splinters and debris fly as bullets shred their only protection. Taking a desperate gamble, Su's father lunges from behind the table. He rolls across the floor with tactical precision to close the gap. He slams into the first gunman, catching the man completely off guard. During the struggle, the assassin's pistol clatters uselessly to the floor. The father quickly pulls the shooter into a chokehold to use as a human shield. The second assassin panics and begins firing blindly at his own partner. Su's father holds firm as the captured gunman absorbs the lethal impact. The first assassin collapses to the ground, lifeless after being shot by his comrade. Armed with a seized weapon, the father turns the tide and aims at the remaining threat. Terrified, the last gunman raises his hands and begs for mercy. A sudden shot echoes, hitting Su's father squarely in the chest. He staggers back, his face contorting in sudden, sharp pain. The dying assassin on the floor smiles, urging his partner to finish the job. Ningyu breaks cover, her eyes wide with absolute horror. She collapses beside her father, desperately pleading for him to stay awake. The final gunman levels his weapon, prepared to execute them both together. Cheng Xu suddenly steps forward, placing his body between Ningyu and the barrel. The assassin pauses, adjusting his mask while observing the boy's resolve. He offers a sadistic choice: kill Ningyu and walk away free. Cheng Xu stands paralyzed, weighing the impossible cost of their lives. The gunman raises his pistol and begins a cold 10-second countdown. Looking down, Cheng Xu sees the terror in Ningyu's eyes as death looms. Resigned to her fate, she tearfully tells him to save his own life. Her breath hitches as she realizes Cheng Xu has no intention of moving. He bellows at her to get out while he stares down the gunman. The trigger is pulled, sending a lethal round spinning through the air. Time slows to a crawl as Cheng Xu reflects on his short life as a protagonist. Cheng Xu realizes the entire assassination attempt was just a staged trial. Su's father calmly admits the ordeal was a calculated test of character. Ningyu reveals she was just as blindsided by the ruse as he was. The father explains his protective actions were solely for his daughter's future. He stares down the young man, preparing him for the next hurdle. With a stern look, he declares the start of the second phase. Cheng Xu stands frozen, reeling from the sudden escalation. A Su Group employee ID is presented as his new objective. He laughs off the task, assuming retail work will be simple. The father's smirk suggests the challenge is far more complex. Clinging to the badge, Cheng Xu senses a looming trap. He arrives at XX Electronics, a shop with a failing reputation. Cheng Xu is horrified to learn the store hasn't seen a positive review in a year. A coworker dismissively blames the difficult local clientele for their failure. A customer's voice rings out, signaling the start of the workday. The staff member looks visibly shaken by the newcomer's presence. Coworkers scramble away, leaving Cheng Xu to handle the floor alone. He turns to address the customer with professional poise. A heavy hand suddenly clamps down on his shoulder from behind. A massive, disgruntled man glares at him with pure hostility. Cheng Xu maintains a polite smile, despite the mounting tension. The man furiously demands a refund for a supposedly broken fan. Cheng Xu carefully plugs the device in to verify the technical claim. The fan spins perfectly, yet the customer remains irrationally angry. He tentatively suggests the user might be the one at fault. The customer explodes in rage, hoisting Cheng Xu by his shirt. Cheng Xu tries to de-escalate the physical confrontation peacefully. A chaotic brawl breaks out as the shop floor descends into madness. The sun begins to set, marking the final hours of the workday. Battered and drained, Cheng Xu realizes how impossible this test truly is. He checks the clock, seeing only 30 minutes left to succeed. A mysterious woman woman in elegant heels steps into the store. He fixes his gaze on her, ready for one final attempt at a review. A stunning woman walks into the shop, and Cheng Xu's heart skips a beat as he realizes he knows exactly who she is. Shock washes over his face as he recognizes the visitor from a pivotal moment in his past. He vividly remembers her sitting gracefully on the sidelines during a sunny day at the soccer field. Suddenly, a stray ball had come hurtling toward her, prompting a desperate warning from a younger Cheng Xu. Reacting purely on instinct, he had shielded her from the impact, a protective move that remains etched in his memory. Back in the present, the woman stares back with a cold, distant gaze that suggests she has no idea who he is. Desperate not to lose his only potential customer, Cheng Xu realizes he has to act fast before she walks out the door. He reaches out to stop her, his hand catching her sleeve in a moment of sheer desperation. She spins around, her eyes wide with confusion and irritation at the sudden physical contact. Reminding himself of the strict rules of his father-in-law's test, he hesitates before speaking his mind. He awkwardly asks if she remembers the incident at the soccer field, hoping for a spark of recognition. Her response is ice cold as she informs him that they have absolutely nothing to discuss. The tension is broken by a well-dressed man named Zhang Li, who demands to know why she isn't home with her parents, as she claimed. Cheng Xu watches the interaction unfold, sensing a shift in the atmosphere as this new player enters the scene. The woman, King Feng, puts on a convincing smile, lying that she's simply picking up supplies for her family. Zhang Li isn't easily swayed and offers to escort her home to meet her parents immediately. She quickly deflects, insisting that they arrange a meeting for another time instead. As they talk, Cheng Xu's special vision reveals a relationship meter above the man's head, showing a surprisingly low level of genuine connection. Narrowing his eyes, Cheng Xu begins to piece together the truth behind her polished exterior. He realizes she is a master of manipulation, juggling multiple men like a professional player. Zhang Li finally relents, bidding her a polite farewell before heading out. The shop falls silent once more as the man disappears from view, leaving King Feng alone with the shopkeeper. Without missing a beat, Cheng Xu asks her which her many boyfriends she plans on visiting next. The woman's composure cracks instantly, her face a mask of disbelief at his sudden accusation. He doubles down, bringing up specific details about a different man she was seen with at the mall just last week. He issues a cold ultimatum, threatening to call back her previous visitor and expose her double life right then and there. The weight of his words leaves her speechless, her previous confidence completely shattered. Gritting her teeth, she demands to know exactly what he wants in exchange for his silence. Cheng Xu looks her in the eye, prepared to use this leverage to his full advantage for the sake of the store. King Feng stares at the document, her composure shattering. Cheng Xu presents a satisfaction survey as tactical leverage. She demands to know his true objective. He offers a pact of silence with a professional smile. King Feng looks away, processing the ultimatum. She suddenly pulls him toward the exit to settle the matter. They arrive at a building for a private discussion. Cheng Xu sits down, questioning her erratic choice of location. He reacts with shock as she approaches him. She leans in close with a cold, calculating gaze. He immediately pushes her back, rejecting the unprofessional display. King Feng claims she is giving him what he supposedly wants. She warns him of the price of revealing her secret. Cheng Xu realizes her aggression is purely defensive. She demands he stop pretending to be virtuous. He seizes her wrist to halt the confrontation. Cheng Xu declares his unwavering loyalty to another. He expresses deep disappointment in her manipulative nature. King Feng is left speechless by his sudden moral lecture. He questions why she chooses to hurt others for gain. He recalls the excitement of his first relationship, memories of his grueling work to provide for her surface. He remembers surviving on cheap noodles to save every cent. The sting of past betrayal still haunts him. Back in the present, he adjusts his glasses with conviction. He denounces her manipulative tactics as absolutely shameful. King Feng stands stunned by his blunt honesty. Her defensive facade breaks as tears fill her eyes. Cheng Xu turns to leave but stops at the door. His system presents two critical paths for his next move. Cheng Xu stares at his phone, stunned by a mysterious app activation. He watches her retreat, wondering what she's hiding. He reaches out, asking if something is wrong. She glares back, telling him to mind his own business. She warns him to stay silent if he knows what's good for him. He follows her closely, determined to uncover the truth. He realizes the situation is much more complex than it appears. The system suddenly triggers a secret tracking quest on his screen. Digital markers appear on the floor to guide his pursuit. The target continues walking, unaware she's being trailed. He notes how the markings change based on his proximity. A sudden alert pops up on his device, signaling trouble. A near collision with a passerby almost blows his cover. The exposure meter on his phone begins to climb rapidly. She glances back, nearly catching him in the act. He freezes, swaying over the warning to watch his steps. The app flashes a red warning of imminent exposure. He scans the empty area, confused by the sudden alert. He maintains a safe distance while keeping her in sight. A massive dog suddenly blocks his path, growling fiercely. Panic sets in as he tries to talk his way out of the confrontation. He makes a desperate leap into a nearby trash container. The dog watches as he plunges into the waste with a splash. He catches his breath, thinking the worst is over. A sudden jolt rocks the bin, catching him off guard. A worker unknowingly begins loading the bin onto a truck. He is buried under heavy bags as the mechanism lifts. He screams for release as the truck hauls him away. Cheng Xu finally steps out from the shadows shadows of a medical center, looking worse for wear after his narrow escape. He sighs in frustration, realizing just how close he came to being discarded like actual garbage. His eyes scan the surroundings as he tries to pinpoint his exact location in this unfamiliar district. Suddenly, he catches a glimpse of Qingfeng heading inside a nearby building, confirming his tracking quest was a success. Inside a modest room, Qingfeng sits by her brother Qiuqiu's bedside, promising to get him to a proper hospital soon. The young boy weakly shakes his head, convinced that his condition is far beyond any medical cure. Qingfeng gazes at him with intense resolve, swearing that she will find a way to save him no matter the cost. Observing from the window, Cheng Xu is struck by the realization that her past actions were driven by a desperate need to save her family. He loses his footing for a split second, his shoe scraping against the ledge with a sudden, loud stagger. Qingfeng's head snaps toward the window, her eyes filled with suspicion at the unexpected sound. Cheng Xu quickly ducks behind the frame, his heart racing as he narrowly avoids being spotted. The tension in the air snaps when the door suddenly clicks open, signaling another arrival. Zhang Li strolls into the room with an arrogant smirk, clearly having followed her to this hidden location. Qingfeng instinctively shields her brother, demanding to know why he's tailing her. Zhang Li plays it off with a mocking grin, claiming he was simply passing by and decided to surprise her. Sensing the brewing conflict, Qingfeng gently tells Qiuqiu to head outside and play for a while. She offers the boy a reassuring look, masking her own anxiety to keep him calm. As soon as the boy is gone, her expression turns cold, demanding to know Zhang Li's true intentions. Zhang Li leans back nonchalantly, acting as if his presence is a grand favor she should be grateful for. He reaches out toward her hair, bragging about how much time and effort he's invested in her already. Qingfeng sharply swats his hand away, warning him to keep his distance and behave himself. Zhang Li's facade drops as he leans in close, shouting that he's fully aware of the secrets she's trying to hide. Trapped and cornered, Qingfeng stares him down, asking what it will take to make him leave her alone. He holds up a single finger, laying out two very specific paths for her to take. He offers a sinister deal. He can expose her secret, or he can pay for her brother's entire medical recovery. Qingfeng looks away in agony, the weight of the impossible choice pressing down on her. She asks him to be blunt about exactly what he expects from her in exchange for the funding. Zhang Li presents a hotel room card and checks his watch, giving her a strict 2-hour deadline to arrive for their meeting. He turns on his heel to leave, casually mentioning he's heading home to freshen up first. Left alone in the quiet room, Qingfeng wonders if this cruel fate is simply her destiny. She stares down at the room card in her hand, her expression filled with dread over the decision she has to make. Suddenly, the door bursts open as Cheng Xu charges in, shouting at the top of his lungs for her to stop. Qingfeng catches Cheng Xu red-handed and demands to know if he's stalking her. Scrambling for an excuse, Cheng Xu insists their meeting is purely accidental. She doesn't buy the coincidence act for a single second. Reaching her limit, she bluntly orders him to get out of her sight. Cheng Xu admits he overheard the blackmail and begs her not to meet that man. Qingfeng stares back, challenging him to provide a better alternative. The question leaves Cheng Xu momentarily speechless and confused. She asks directly if he's prepared to pay for her brother's expensive medical treatment. He sheepishly admits he lacks the funds to solve her crisis. She turns away, dismissing his empty sympathy as useless for her brother's survival. Cheng Xu struggles with the harsh reality that his intentions aren't enough. He stops her, asking if her brother would truly want her to sacrifice her dignity. He warns that this decision will leave them both traumatized forever. She looks at him with pity, frustrated by his naive outlook on her situation. She invites him to follow her so she can prove her resolve. Hesitant but curious, Cheng Xu follows her into the hallway. Suddenly, the door slams shut right in his face. Realizing he's trapped, Cheng Xu shouts for her to open up immediately. Qingfeng walks away, deciding his kindness is a burden she can't afford. She whispers a final apology through the wood before leaving him behind. The scene shifts to the sterile environment of hotel room. Zhang Li grows impatient while waiting for his leverage to arrive. Qingfeng finally enters the room to finalize their dark deal. Zhang Li greets her with a smug, expectant grin. She demands confirmation that he will uphold his end of the financial agreement. He mocks her lack of enthusiasm and demands she cooperate more actively. His smugness turns to pure terror as she reveals a hidden blade. Zhang Li freezes, the cold steel of a blade pressed firmly against his skin. Qingfeng's eyes burn with a desperate resolve as she demands the money needed to save her brother's life. Terrified, Zhang Li holds up his hands, pleading for her to lower the weapon before things escalate. He slowly reaches out, under strict orders not to make a single sudden move. The phone sits on the table, the only lifeline for a transaction that could change everything. Zhang Li frantically works the screen, silently cursing his security team for their absence. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifts as the door is violently forced open. Zhang Li seizes the moment to overpower her, snarling insults at the woman who dared to threaten him. With Qingfeng restrained, he coldly instructs his men to secure the perimeter while he regains control of the room. His subordinate stands firm at the entrance, promising that no one will interrupt them. Gagged and trapped, King Feng can only watch in horror as her plan falls apart completely. Zhang Li looms over her with a sickening, triumphant grin, savoring his return to power. He leans in close, mocking her failed attempt at bravery while she struggles against her bonds. But his celebration is cut short as a shadow looms over the scene. A powerful strike connects, catching the villain completely off guard. The force of the impact sends Zhang Li sprawling across the floor in a heap. His guards scramble to their feet, rushing to assist their fallen employer. Clinging to his bruised head, Zhang Li demands to know how an intruder breached his security. The guard stammers out an excuse, claiming he was fooled by a clever ruse involving a medical delivery. Before another word can be said, a sharp blow silences the corrupt businessman once more. Turning his attention to the victim, Cheng Xu gently drapes his jacket over King Feng to offer a sense of security. She can only shake her head in a daze, the trauma of the encounter still weighing heavily on her. Cheng Xu lets out a breath he didn't know he was holding, relieved that he wasn't a second too late. Confused and emotional, King Feng looks up at him, wondering how he managed to break free from where she locked him. The lock on the door had been no match for his determination to protect her. He looks back at her with a gaze full of unspoken concern and complex emotions. The memory of her brother's tearful face flashes through her mind, reminding her why she took such a risk. Overwhelmed by guilt, she looks away, unable to meet the eyes of the man who just saved her. The tension in the room spikes again as Zhang Li struggles back to his feet to face his rival. Trembling with sheer ego-driven rage, the villain refuses to let this humiliation stand. He points a trembling finger, barking orders for his goons to eliminate the interference. Cheng Xu braces himself, realizing the real fight for their safety is only just beginning. A swarm of hired thugs closes in, their faces set in grim determination as they prepare to strike. Cheng Xu grits his teeth, realizing the situation has spiraled out of control as he shields King Feng from the encroaching threat. A sudden digital notification flashes before his eyes, revealing a hidden truth that could change the tide of this confrontation. He stares in disbelief at the scandalous secrets the system has unearthed regarding Zhang Li's private life. Sensing a desperate opening, Cheng Xu calls out for a temporary ceasefire to stop the impending brawl. Zhang Li isn't interested in talking, his face contorted with rage as he orders his men to finish them off once and for all. Cheng Xu drops a bombshell, mentioning a very specific and embarrassing secret involving a pet gorilla named Marty. The color drains from Zhang Li's face as the shock of the revelation hits him like a physical blow. Panicked and exposed, the antagonist frantically signals for his goons to hold their positions. He lunges forward, his fingers digging aggressively into the fabric of Cheng Xu's shirt. With his reputation on the line, Zhang Li demands to know exactly how his rival obtained such classified information. Cheng Xu maintains a calm, calculated smirk, knowing he finally holds the ultimate bargaining chip over his enemy. The system interface displays Zhang Li's full profile, highlighting his desperate and cutthroat battle for the family succession. Cheng Xu doubles down, reminding him that a scandal of this magnitude would end his inheritance prospects instantly. Zhang Li's composure shatters, and he screams for Cheng Xu to keep his mouth shut before his men hear too much. He wraps his hand around Cheng Xu's throat in a fit of pique, but the young man warns that his death will trigger an automatic leak of the evidence. Zhang Li's murderous intent wavers, replaced by a cold, calculating fear for his own professional future. Cheng Xu gasps for air, offering a simple trade: their immediate freedom in exchange for the deletion of the incriminating files. Zhang Li hesitates, wondering if he can actually trust the word of the man he was just about to execute. Staring into the eyes of a cornered beast, Cheng Xu asks him if he's truly willing to gamble his entire career on a bluff. Realizing he's been completely outplayed, Zhang Li yields with a frustrated growl and releases his grip. Cheng Xu massages his bruised neck, relieved to have survived the encounter by the absolute skin of his teeth. Zhang Li leads his group away from the scene, his ego bruised and his original plans in total tatters. Their exit is suddenly blocked by the presence of a mysterious figure standing perfectly still in the shadows of the hallway. A scarred man wearing a dark hoodie stares them down, radiating a dangerous and veteran combat aura. The stranger produces a crumpled photograph, his voice low and threatening as he asks the group for information. Still fuming from his defeat, Zhang Li snaps at the man to get out of his way before things get violent. The hooded man's hand moves with lightning speed, a subtle motion that signals the start of a swift takedown. In the blink of an eye, the entire squad of professional thugs is laid out unconscious on the cold floor. The mysterious warrior repeats his question with icy precision, his patience clearly wearing thin. He thrusts the picture forward, revealing to a terrified Zhang Li that his target is none other than Cheng Xu. Su Ningyu looks at Cheng Xu with genuine concern, asking if he's holding up okay after the intense confrontation. Cheng Xu offers a soft, reassuring smile to show her that he's recovered from the recent chaos. Without warning, Su Ningyu leans in for a brief, unexpected gesture of affection that catches him completely off guard. Cheng Xu freezes in shock, his face flushing as the sudden proximity leaves him utterly speechless. He quickly creates some distance, demanding to know the reason for her sudden and bold behavior. Su Ningyu looks down with a vulnerable expression, opening up about her complicated history with men and her true feelings. She looks him straight in the eyes and makes a startling confession, stating that she wants to be his girlfriend. A digital notification instantly pings on the phone screen, confirming the successful completion of the goddess's secret side quest. The app interface flashes a celebratory message, announcing that a new relationship slot has been unlocked for his profile. Cheng Xu clutches his face in sheer disbelief, unable to process the system's bizarre timing and the weight of the situation. Panicked by the escalating commitment, he blurts out that he's already taken and needs to leave immediately. He wastes no time sprinting away down the hall, desperate to put some distance between himself and the unexpected proposal. While waiting by the elevator, a cold-eyed man in a hooded K sweatshirt looms ominously behind the unsuspecting crowd. The stranger's gaze remains fixed and predatory, focused entirely on his hidden objective. Cheng Xu catches a glimpse of the man's reflection in the polished elevator doors and feels an immediate chill down his spine. As the doors begin to close, a gloved hand reaches out from the hallway to force them back open. The hooded figure steps into the confined space, his presence radiating an aura of pure, silent intimidation. Suddenly, Cheng Xu's phone rings, and he answers a call from a mysterious voice he doesn't recognize. The caller delivers a chilling ultimatum, warning him that he must comply or prepare to say goodbye to this world. Cheng Xu initially dismisses the threat as a bad joke until the caller mentions the secret Eros app by name. The gravity of the danger sinks in as he listens intently to the caller's specific and terrifying instructions. The elevator bell chimes as they reach the ground floor, signaling the start of a high-stakes game of cat and mouse. Cheng Xu attempts to blend into the exiting crowd, but the hooded pursuer stays right on his heels. Feeling a heavy presence looming over his shoulder, Cheng Xu glances back with rapidly growing anxiety. Nearby, a child remains blissfully unaware of the life-or-death tension unfolding just inches away. Cheng Xu tries to stay calm while scanning the surrounding faces for any signs of an imminent ambush. He focuses his attention on the man in the hoodie, but is shocked to see the system showing only question marks for his stats. The total lack of data is a major red flag, leaving Cheng Xu to wonder exactly what kind of monster he's up against. The hooded man ignores the crowd, his eyes locked onto a tracking device held firmly in his palm. A specialized tracker beeps with increasing frequency, confirming that his target is within arm's reach. Their eyes meet for a split second in the middle of the lobby, and the predator realizes his prey has finally spotted him. Cheng Xu immediately ducks his head, trying to lose himself in the flow of people to break line of sight. The hunter drops his disguise and bellows for Cheng Xu to freeze right where he stands. The sound of heavy boots hitting the floor echoes through the area as the pursuer begins his lethal sprint. Cheng Xu stumbles in his haste to escape, his coordination failing under the sheer pressure of the pursuit. In the chaotic scramble, his phone slips from his grasp and tumbles through the air toward the ground. He watches in horror as a heavy boot steps toward his fallen device, threatening to crush his only link to the system. Panic surges through Cheng Xu as he realizes his vital lifeline has slipped from his grasp. The screen of the fallen device lies shattered on the pavement, a grim reflection of his current predicament. Before he can react, a powerful hand lunges forward and grips the back of his shirt. The hooded pursuer sneers, gloating over the fact that his slippery target has finally run out of luck. Terrified, Cheng Xu desperately pleads that there must be some mistake, and that he doesn't even know this man. The assassin coldly commands him to stay quiet and follow along if he wants to find out the truth. Suddenly, a mysterious canister clatters to the ground, venting a thick, white vapor with a sharp hiss. A dense fog rapidly envelops the area, leaving the confused assassin coughing and blind in the haze. As the smoke begins to dissipate, the hooded man stands alone, his high-value target nowhere to be seen. Cheng Xu slowly regains consciousness, finding himself in a room filled with high-tech equipment and boxes. He scans his surroundings in a daze, wondering how on earth he ended up in this strange facility. A sudden presence behind him causes him to spin around, his heart hammering against his ribs. A man wearing a professional lab coat calmly introduces himself as the elusive Professor J. Cheng Xu immediately demands to know if this is the man from the phone and how he knows about the secret app. With a confident smirk, the professor drops a bombshell. He is the original creator of the Eros system. The revelation leaves Cheng Xu momentarily speechless as the scale of the situation begins to sink in. Professor J tells him to stay calm, pivoting the conversation to the dangerous man who was just hunting him. Cheng Xu listens with rapt attention, desperate for any information regarding his would-be captor. The professor identifies the hunter as Zhan Kui, a dangerous operative belonging to an organization known as Group X. Confused by the name, Cheng Xu admits that this mysterious group is completely unknown to him. Professor J explains that these enemies hail from a realm far beyond anything in his current reality. He turns to a nearby terminal, typing rapidly to pull up data from another dimension. Looking out toward a futuristic skyline, he reveals the shocking truth. They originate from a parallel universe. Cheng Xu can hardly believe his ears as the concept of multiple worlds is laid out before him. The professor then reaches out, offering Cheng Xu a sleek, familiar-looking mobile device. Cheng Xu stares in disbelief, noting that the phone that was just smashed to pieces is now in pristine condition. He hesitantly reaches out to take the restored device, completely frozen by the professor's technical prowess. Professor J takes a moment to compose his thoughts, preparing to deliver a highly unconventional instruction. He explains that the only way to progress and safeguard the world is to successfully recruit more female partners via the app. Cheng Xu's jaw drops in utter shock at the sheer absurdity of using social connections to save a planet. Professor J stands firm, insisting that strengthening these specific bonds is the technical requirement for their survival. Skeptical and overwhelmed, Cheng Xu asks how a dating-style interface could possibly have such high-stakes consequences. Seeing his sincerity, the professor adjusts his glasses, ready to divulge the classified history of the Eros app's creation. The story begins eons ago when a massive meteorite carrying volatile energy crashed into Earth. Despite its immense power, the recovered specimen remained stubbornly inactive under laboratory observation. Professor J spent years attempting to spark the energy source, meeting only consistent failure. The silence of the lab is eventually broken by the sharp click of the entrance door. An assistant arrives, delivering the latest set of technical data analysis for the project. Engrossed in his work, J dismisses her, requesting she leave the reports on his desk. Outside, colleagues whisper about the unusual activity and constant noise echoing from Jay's private workspace. The situation escalates as Group X, a dangerous extremist cell, mobilizes to seize the extraterrestrial tech. To protect the world, Jay frantically converts the meteorite's core into digital data fragments. He reveals that this data was sent through dimensions, manifesting as the Eros application. Jay finishes his briefing, highlighting the gravity of the multiversal threat they now face. Hoping for an easy exit, Cheng Xu questions if simply deleting the software is an option. The professor warns that the app has evolved, making a simple uninstallation impossible. Cheng Xu reels from the technical complexity and the weight of his new responsibility. Sudden crimson lights flood the room as the lab's security system detects a breach. The leader of Group X arrives at the facility with his enforcers, looking ready for a violent confrontation. Professor J watches the security feed in horror as the perimeter is officially breached. The lead intruder comes to a sudden halt, sensing the professor's eyes on him through the lens. He mocks the professor through the camera, proving he has finally tracked them down to their hidden location. Professor J grits his teeth in frustration, realizing the gravity of the situation they now face. With no time to lose, J urgently commands Cheng Xu to follow him deeper into the lab. He activates a hidden mechanism with his remote, triggering a hydraulic hiss that echoes through the room. A high-tech emergency escape pod rises from the floor, designed to get a single passenger out safely. Cheng Xu hesitates at the threshold, unsure if he should leave the professor behind. Jay insists on staying to provide a distraction, knowing only one of them has a chance to escape. The professor forcefully shuts the door on Cheng Xu, cutting off any room for further argument. He gives a final thumbs up and a confident smile, reminding Cheng Xu to focus on his life outside. Jay turns away to face the oncoming storm alone, sacrificing himself for the sake of the mission. Suddenly, a look of panic crosses the professor's face as he remembers a vital piece of information he forgot to share. It's already too late, as the heavy blast doors lock into place and seal the pod. Cheng Xu tries to make sense of the pod's interface as the machine prepares for an immediate launch. The pod deploys with a massive splash, landing in a remote body of water far from the facility. Panicked, Cheng Xu flails in the deep water, realizing too late that he never learned how to swim. His vision begins to blur as he slowly sinks into the dark, silent depths. He suddenly wakes to the sight of a familiar face looking down at him with deep concern. He breathes a sigh of relief, happy to see King Feng after such a harrowing experience. She leans in close to check on his health, making sure he's fully conscious and breathing. The illusion shatters as he finds a persistent cat licking his face in the middle of his own bedroom. Cheng Xu bolts upright in bed, his heart still racing from the sheer intensity of the dream. He scans the familiar surroundings of his room, trying to ground himself back in reality. The bedroom door creaks open, pulling his attention away from his racing thoughts. Su Ningyu enters with a morning beverage, wondering why he's already awake and looking so startled. Cheng Xu blinks in confusion, wondering aloud if he was actually rescued. From the doorway, a mysterious woman observes him with an intense, analytical gaze. She silently critiques his appearance, noting he seems like a very average person. Cheng Xu feels the weight of her stare and wonders why she is acting so peculiar. Lingxi pushes the door open, appearing relieved to see him conscious. She expresses her genuine joy that he has finally woken up. Confused, Cheng Xu asks why she's there and what exactly transpired. He recalls the group strolling by the lake earlier that day. Suddenly, cries for help erupted as someone struggled in the deep water. Lingxi had paused, her attention caught by the unfolding emergency. Her boss, Meng, asked what was causing the sudden commotion. Lingxi frantically explained that her boyfriend had jumped in to save a drowning person. Meng lingered on the word boyfriend, her expression turning cold and skeptical. Back in the room, Lingxi introduces Meng as her boss and longtime mentor. Meng maintains a polite facade while internally questioning Cheng Xu's worth. She professionally invites him to join them for a morning meal. The trio sits down for a quiet, formal breakfast together. Cheng Xu focuses strictly on his meal, trying to ignore the tension. A sudden shock crosses his face as he notices a peculiar sensation. Meng sits across from him, maintaining a perfectly composed and professional posture. She looks at him with a calm, unreadable smile while they eat. Cheng Xu grows increasingly flustered, unsure of how to navigate this social dynamic. He wonders if the boss is testing his composure during this professional meeting. Lingxi notices his flushed face and asks if he's feeling unwell. He quickly dismisses her concern, blaming the temperature of the breakfast. Lingxi announces she must head to work at the cafe immediately. Cheng Xu watches her leave, his anxiety rising at the thought of being left alone. Lingxi tells him he must stay and rest for several days to recover. He reacts with shock, realizing he is now stuck in this environment. He sits in silence, sensing the atmosphere in the room shift drastically. Meng leans in, her professional demeanor softening into something more personal. She suggests they play a game now that they are finally alone. The scene shifts to the quiet exterior of the apartment complex, where the high-stakes social game begins. Inside, Cheng Xu sits nervously beside Meng, visibly overwhelmed by her sudden proximity. Attempting to escape the pressure, Cheng Xu claims he is feeling unwell and needs to rest immediately. Meng suddenly reaches out and seizes his hand, preventing his retreat with a firm grip. She leans in close to his face, challenging him to listen to the intensity of the moment. As she moves even closer, the tension in the room reaches a breaking point. Meng continues her psychological pressure, cornering the flustered young man on the sofa. With a knowing look, she confirms her aggressive approach is a calculated move to test his loyalty. Cheng Xu's mind flashes back to Lingxi, realizing this entire interaction is a trap designed to ruin his reputation. Meng maintains her composure, confident that her scheme will force a wedge between him and his partner. Frustrated and cornered, Cheng Xu struggles to find a way out of this manipulative social snare. He retreats to the bathroom, using a cold shower to try and regain his composure. Despite the water, he remains flustered by the physiological stress brought on by Meng's interrogation. He glances back, wondering how much longer he can endure this psychological warfare. A dark thought crosses his mind as he questions if his physical reaction was influenced by the breakfast he consumed. Meanwhile, Meng waits outside with a cold, unwavering expression, ready for the next phase of her plan. The silence is shattered by a heavy, aggressive knocking on the apartment door. A group of imposing men arrives at the entrance, led by a leader demanding immediate entry to confront Meng. Meng urgently shakes Cheng Xu awake as he struggles to regain his senses after the prior confrontation. She quickly offers him a small pill, identifying it as the necessary antidote to keep him focused. Cheng Xu adjusts his glasses and demands a full technical explanation for the chaotic sequence of events currently unfolding. Meng offers a chilling warning, stating she won't interfere if he decides to risk his life by staying in the open. Panic sets in as she frantically scans the room for a viable hiding spot before the intruder enters. Her eyes dart toward the door as the sound of the visitor grows louder and the pressure mounts. The massive Baoshan makes a grand entrance, looming over Meng in the center of the room. Meng maintains a strictly professional and calm exterior, claiming her disheveled state is simply because she was just in the shower. Baoshan beams with pride, announcing he's arrived to celebrate their 1-month anniversary together. Sensing the immediate danger, Meng suggests they take the celebration to a restaurant instead of staying in the apartment. Baoshan snaps his fingers with a confident smirk, signaling that the festivities have already been prepared on-site. A professional catering crew wheels in several carts loaded with food and supplies to begin the setup. Baoshan leans in close to Meng, suggesting they move their conversation to the privacy of the bedroom. Meng remains silent and tense, her mind racing to find a way out of this impossible trap. She slowly leads the way toward the back room, dreading what the intruder might find inside. Her hand reaches out to turn the bedroom door handle as she prepares for the worst. To her immense relief, the bedroom appears completely vacant and undisturbed at first glance. Despite the empty room, Meng breaks into a cold sweat, while trying to keep her composure under Baoshan's gaze. Baoshan's expression shifts as he sniffs the air, claiming his sharp senses detect another man's presence in the room. Meng laughs off the accusation, insisting that she is the only person currently in the apartment. Baoshan narrows his eyes, refusing to doubt his own heightened sense of smell despite her denials. He aggressively throws open the closet doors to inspect the interior for any hidden intruders. He moves to the window and yanks the curtains aside with a violent motion to ensure no one is behind them. He leans out into the night air, scanning the exterior left and right for any signs of a climber. Frustration builds as Baoshan begins to question if his instincts have finally failed him. Meng crosses her arms and stares him down, asking if his intrusive inspection is finally over. Baoshan attempts to de-escalate the tension with a light-hearted apology for his unnecessary suspicion. Fed up with the interrogation, Meng sarcastically dares him to just flip over every piece of furniture in the room. Baoshan's gaze drops to the floor as he realizes there is one final place he hasn't checked. The dark shadow beneath the bed frame becomes the final focus of his intense search. Tucked away in the darkness, Cheng Xu lies perfectly still against the floorboards, barely breathing. A look of pure terror crosses Cheng Xu's face as he realizes his hiding spot is about to be completely compromised. Meng suddenly reaches out and covers Baoshan's eyes, stopping his suspicious search in its tracks. Disoriented by the sudden contact, Baoshan demands to know what she thinks she's doing. Meng leans in with a forced smile, proposing they play a game to distract him from the man hiding under the bed. A smug grin spreads across Baoshan's face as he asks for the rules of this unexpected challenge. Beneath the bed frame, Cheng Xu lets out a silent breath of relief, barely avoiding a direct confrontation. Meng instructs him to keep his eyes shut, promising a reward if he manages to find her. Intrigued by the stakes, Bao Shen's curiosity is piqued as he wonders what the prize for winning could be. Meng maintains her mysterious aura, telling him he'll only find out if he actually catches her. Confident in his victory, Bao Shen scans the small room, certain there's nowhere for her to hide for long. Seizing the distraction, Meng urgently whispers for Cheng Xu to get dressed and flee the apartment immediately, while she leads Bao Shen away. Cheng Xu creeps out into the common area, only to find a group of men intensely focused on a card game. His heart sinks as he realizes the sheer number of witnesses currently blocking his only exit. Luck is on his side when one of the men stands up, announcing a quick break to the restroom. Seeing the opening he needs, Cheng Xu prepares to make his move the moment the man clears the hallway. He waits for the precise second the bathroom door closes before darting toward the exit. Moving like a shadow, he tiptoes past the remaining players who are preoccupied with their winning hands. One of the men looks up with a bored expression, nearly catching the escapee in his peripheral vision. Cheng Xu's hand trembles with adrenaline as it finally connects with the cold metal of the front door handle. Suddenly, a voice from the table booms out, questioning where he thinks he's going. Terror grips Cheng Xu as he freezes in place, certain his cover has been completely blown. The player narrows his eyes, looking directly toward the door with an intense, searching gaze. Relief floods the room as the player slams his cards down, cheering over the victory he just secured in the game. Outside the door, a girl wonders why Meng is ignoring her messages regarding a high-priority customer. She swings the door open and nearly collides head-on with a frantic Cheng Xu. Confused by his panicked state, she asks trying to leave the apartment in such a hurry. Before he can offer an excuse, she grabs his arm and insists they head back out to deal with the business at hand. Cheng Xu desperately tries to pull away, knowing he can't afford to be seen by the group inside. His efforts are futile as she drags him right back into the main room in front of all the card players. One of the guys leaps up in shock, stunned to see Cheng Xu returning with a beautiful girl on his arm. Another player pauses, realizing something is very wrong with the intruder's choice of wardrobe. He points an accusing finger, demanding to know why this stranger is wearing their friend Shanji's clothes. Bao Shen leans in with a cold, predatory gaze, demanding to know exactly what's going on. Cheng Xu adjusts his glasses, sweating bullets as he tries to find a way out of this lethal mess. He shoots a desperate glance toward Meng, hoping she has a plan to save them from the gang. Meng's eyes narrow as she realizes she can use Lingxi's sudden appearance to flip the script in her favor. She suddenly drops her gaze, putting on an act of pure distress to manipulate the hostile crowd. Meng covers her eyes and lets out a fake sob, claiming Cheng Xu took advantage of her the moment Lingxi left the room. The blatant lie hits like a physical blow, leaving both Cheng Xu and Lingxi in a state of total shock. Cheng Xu stammers in disbelief, asking her what on earth she's talking about. He desperately grabs Lingxi's hands, pleading with his partner to believe in his innocence despite the chaos. Lingxi stands frozen, her mind racing as she tries to process the conflicting accusations. From the sidelines, Meng watches the fallout of her deception with a calculated, distant look. Bao Shen smirks at the unfolding drama, telling Meng she can stop her crying now that he's handling it. He bursts into a mocking laugh, finding the entire awkward situation hysterical. Meng snaps back with conviction, asking what's so funny about her reputation almost being ruined. The laughter stops instantly as Bao Shen's expression turns ice cold and deeply suspicious. Meng realizes she might have pushed her luck too far as the tension in the apartment spikes to a breaking point. Bao Shen calls her out, accusing her of fabricating the entire story just to help the kid escape his sight. Meng's confidence wavers, her face turning pale as her web of lies begins to unravel. Bao Shen towers over Cheng Xu, delivering a chilling ultimatum for allegedly touching his woman. He aggressively closes the distance, ready to settle the score with his bare hands. Lingxi watches in horror, trembling as the confrontation turns dangerously violent. Cheng Xu roars at the thugs to stay away from her and face him instead. The goons move in fast, roughly shoving Cheng Xu back to clear a path for their boss. He struggles against their grip, pinned down while he watches the antagonist approach Lingxi. Bao Shen reaches out to grab Lingxi, but she catches him completely off guard by biting down on his hand. The gang leader recoils in pain, clutching his injured hand as his temper flares into a rage. Cheng Xu fights with everything he has to break free from the thugs and protect his partner. Meng looks on with growing regret, realizing the situation has spiraled far beyond her control. Cheng Xu finally lunges forward, pulling Lingxi into a protective embrace to shield her from the mob. Bao Shen's face contorts with pure malice as he gives his men the final order to strike. The entire gang swarms the pair, cornering them against the wall in a desperate, lopsided struggle. Just as things look hopeless, the Arrows app on the phone screen flashes with a notification that its energy storage is finally complete. Cheng Xu reels as the Arrows app finally hits full capacity. He stares at his trembling hands, sensing a surge of unnatural power. A sudden shockwave erupts, slamming the thugs against the walls. Shocked by the display, he wonders where this sudden strength originated. He realizes the app's multiversal anchor has truly awakened his potential. A vision of the developer appears, explaining the research into high-affinity forces. The creator urges him to use this gift for the sake of the world. With a thumbs up, the man encourages him to expand his social network. Cheng Xu finds the idea of a massive harem completely overwhelming. He panics panics at the thought of being constantly swarmed by admirers. Baoshan senses the shift in the air, realizing the tide has turned. The gang leader hesitates, fearing he'll lose his men's respect if he backs down. Losing his cool, Baoshan lunges forward for a desperate final strike. Cheng Xu remains perfectly still, tracking his opponent's every move. The villain swings a sharp blade directly at the protagonist's chest. With a sickening crack, Cheng Xu shatters the metal with his bare hand. Baoshan freezes, unable to process the impossible feat of strength. Dismissing the threat, the hero prepares to end the confrontation. He delivers a precise palm strike, connecting squarely with the boss's torso. The impact sends Baoshan spiraling backward through the air. Defeated and dazed, the leader can no longer maintain his aggressive stance. His subordinates scream in terror as their invincible leader falls. The remaining thugs scramble to drag their boss away and flee. Cheng Xu immediately pulls Lingxi into a protective, platonic embrace. She leans into him, finally feeling safe from the gang's violence. Lingxi looks up, her eyes filled with gratitude for her savior. Another associate arrives, looking on with a heavy, complicated expression. Cheng Xu clarifies that their interaction was strictly about mutual protection. He looks down, acknowledging the professional weight of the situation. The newcomer turns away, seemingly burdened by unspoken regrets. Lingxi requests a private moment to discuss their next steps. The pair moves to a quiet corner to decompress after the battle. He places a reassuring hand on her arm, offering technical support. Their hands meet in a gesture of unwavering professional solidarity. Lingxi explains that very few people truly understand their shared mission. They stand together, committed to their partnership as the ultimate team. Lingxi looks at Cheng Xu with a soft expression, asking him to let her know if he ever finds someone special in the future. She vows to work tirelessly to become that person for him before that day arrives. Cheng Xu watches her, clearly moved by the weight of her earnest declaration. Lingxi waves a cheerful goodbye, reminding him to prioritize his recovery and get some rest. Left alone, Cheng Xu repeats her name softly as her words sink in. His moment of reflection is cut short when an older gentleman suddenly appears, claiming to have finally found him. Surprised by the sudden arrival, Cheng Xu turns to face the man who seems to know his identity. The man demands an explanation for Cheng Xu's absence, and why his phone was unreachable. Cheng Xu awkwardly rubs the back of his neck, struggling to summarize the recent chaotic events. He politely asks what business the man has that required such an urgent search. The older man's face turns serious as he prepares to deliver some critical family news. Cheng Xu is nearly floored when the man abruptly brings up the topic of a forced marriage arrangement. The man insists that since they are now family, the invitations have already been dispatched to everyone. Panic sets in as Cheng Xu waves his hands frantically, trying to halt the runaway conversation. Ningyu stands nearby, watching the exchange with a quiet and tense expression. Cheng Xu tries to reason with him, suggesting they need more time to consider such a massive life decision. The father's temper flares, questioning if Cheng Xu is actually intending to back out now. A confused, chibi-style Cheng Xu wonders what on earth he could possibly be backing out of. He attempts to maintain a professional composure, while clearing up the massive misunderstanding. Later, Cheng Xu sits on the edge of the bed in total disbelief, questioning Ningyu's true motives. The father turns a stern gaze toward Ningyu, asking if her performance is finally over. Ningyu plays dumb, asking her father what he is talking about. He produces a dossier, revealing that his background check shows Cheng Xu is just an average citizen. He stares her down, unimpressed by her attempts to deceive him about their relationship. He points out her childhood habit of rubbing her fingers whenever she is caught in a lie. Defensive, Ningyu asks if he truly expects her to marry someone she doesn't care for. Dismissing her protest, the father declares the marriage is a family decision and tells her to get ready. Ningyu looks down, her face shadowed by frustration and a refusal to give in to his demands. Her hand trembles as she reaches a breaking point in the intense argument. In a desperate bid to stop the wedding, she shouts the shocking lie that she and Cheng Xu have already been intimate. Cheng Xu is frozen in place, his mind racing as he processes the gravity of her false claim. He feels the metaphorical weight of a frying pan hitting his head for a situation he didn't create. He turns toward her, mouth open and ready to set the record straight immediately. Before he can speak, Ningyu suddenly lunges forward and seizes his hand with surprising force. Her heels slip on the floor, causing her to lose her balance and stumble backward. The two of them collapse onto the bed in a clumsy heap, with Cheng Xu accidentally landing on top of her. Cheng Xu hesitates to move, fearing their precarious balance will collapse if he lets go. Outside, the father pauses, questioning if his intervention was too aggressive. He narrows his eyes, his suspicion towards the pair reaching a breaking point. The door swings open, exposing the duo's frantic attempt to fix the situation. Terror grips Cheng Xu as he faces the father's cold, judgmental stare. The room shakes as the door is slammed shut with violent finality. A hand reaches out in a desperate, failed attempt to bridge the gap. Panicked energy erupts as Cheng Xu loses his footing entirely. He tumbles backward, gravity taking over in the heat of the moment. Ningyu catches him off guard, pulling him into a firm, grounding hold. Cheng Xu reminds her that their arrangement was strictly a temporary ruse. Silence fills the room while they sit apart, mulling over the chaotic fallout. He asks if she is all right, hoping to break the thick tension. Ningyu pouts and turns away, her pride wounded by the day's events. Cheng Xu rubs his neck, exhausted by the unpredictable turns of their facade. She eyes him suspiciously, demanding to know his current thoughts. He offers a weak excuse about his dinner plans to avoid further scrutiny. Her skeptical gaze lingers, unimpressed by his attempt to play it cool. Cheng Xu weighs his options, fearing an escape will make him the villain in this drama. Ningyu offers a solution, promising to settle things with her father once the heat dies down. He reluctantly accepts the plan, knowing he's out of time. They survey the room, realizing the estate's security makes a standard exit impossible. Ningyu takes his hand, leading him toward a desperate alternative. She gestures toward a narrow ventilation duct as his secret path to freedom. As he climbs, Ningyu watches him go, grappling with a sudden, confusing desire for him to stay. Cheng Xu stares into the dark, cramped tunnel ahead. A sudden electronic beep echoes through the vent, startling him. His phone displays a tactical interface, calculating the success rates of different paths. He glares at the device, annoyed by its intrusive timing. Suspecting the professor is trying to manipulate his choices, he grows skeptical. He decides to move against the AI's recommendation and begins to crawl. A sudden ray of light suggests he's found an exit much faster than expected. The ceiling panel fails, sending him crashing onto the floor below. A system warning flashes on his screen, threatening to reset his mission progress. He fumes at the screen, frustrated by the late notification. Realizing he's stuck, he weighs the risks of remaining stationary. A high-stakes idea takes hold as he prepares his final move. He feigns a medical emergency, collapsing to force a confrontation. An ambulance screams away from the scene, sirens blaring through the night. Lying on the stretcher, Cheng Xu breathes a sigh of relief that his ruse worked. A sudden hand on the gurney breaks his focus. A burly man informs him that the boss has special plans for his recovery. Cheng Xu's blood runs cold as he realizes his escape was a trap. A blinding light hits the windshield, causing the driver to lose control. The ambulance collides with a car in a violent, metal-crunching wreck. Smoke billows from the wreckage in the middle of a desolate road. Choking on smoke, Cheng Xu claws his way out of the overturned vehicle. He scans the ground, looking for a way to distance himself from the crash. He freezes in shock, coming face to face with an unexpected survivor. Cheng Xu stares in disbelief as a mysterious man greets him with a taunting smirk, claiming they were destined to meet again. Shaken by the sudden encounter, Cheng Xu demands to know how this stranger managed to track him down so easily. The man casually reveals that Cheng Xu's own actions triggered the artifact's power, acting like a homing beacon for his pursuers. With a sharp, confident snap of his fingers, the man signals for his subordinates to take action. Before he can react, a heavy black hood is shoved over Cheng Xu's head as he is forcibly restrained from behind. Across the water, a solitary lighthouse stands as a silent sentinel over a remote, rocky island hidden from the world. Cheng Xu collapses onto the hard floor, gasping for air as the hood is finally ripped away to reveal his new prison. From the shadows of the hallway, a mysterious figure watches him intently through the small window of the reinforced door. A firm hand reaches out and turns the handle, ready to confront the captive held inside the room. A sharp blade glints in the light as it slices through the thick ropes binding Cheng Xu's wrists together. The severed restraints fall uselessly to the floor, freeing him from his immediate physical confinement. Glaring up at his captor, Cheng Xu demands an immediate explanation for this violent kidnapping. The man towers over him with a calm gaze, offering a hollow apology for the aggressive nature of his arrival. Suspicion fills Cheng Xu's voice as he asks what these people could possibly want from a regular person like him. The interrogator explains that their thorough investigation has cleared him of being a dangerous criminal fugitive. Cheng Xu is left completely baffled, trying to process why he was ever considered a wanted man in the first place. The man slams down a dead or alive poster, revealing that their true target is the elusive and dangerous Professor G. Images of the professor flash through Cheng Xu's mind as he realizes the scale of the multiversal conspiracy he's caught in. The man describes how the professor has been illegally scouring various planes to steal and modify rare treasures for his own gain. He makes a cold request, asking Cheng Xu to cooperate in cracking the security codes the professor set on stolen artifact fragments. To ensure his cooperation, he promises that Cheng Xu will be returned home safely once the technical task is finished. Placing a hand on the boy's shoulder, he instructs him to rest while the team prepares the necessary equipment. Suddenly remembering a crucial detail, the man reaches into his jacket to retrieve a confiscated device. He extends his hand, returning Cheng Xu's personal phone as a supposed sign of professional good faith. Cheng Xu accepts the device with a guarded expression, his mind racing to determine if this is just another psychological trap. As the man departs, a woman dressed in formal attire enters the room to begin her shift in the facility. She accidentally stumbles into Cheng Xu, catching him off guard during the brief, sudden collision. She offers a quick, polite apology while maintaining her professional composure during the encounter. In a split-second exchange, she surreptitiously presses a folded scrap of paper into his palm without making eye contact. Cheng Xu discreetly clutches the hidden message, realizing the woman is risking her position to contact him. He unfolds the note to find a chilling, handwritten warning that shatters his sense of security. Don't trust them. Looking down at his phone, a critical multiversal choice appears on the screen, forcing him to decide his next move instantly. Cheng Xu stands on high alert as a soldier in camouflage maintains a watchful eye from behind. The tension in the air is thick as the guard's gaze remains fixed on his new guest. Cheng Xu discreetly reaches into his pocket, checking for the mysterious note he just received. The man introduces himself as Lang, claiming the chief sent him to provide a personal tour of the facility. He gestures toward a sterile, seemingly endless hallway, explaining that Cheng Xu has free reign of the building with a few specific exceptions. While they walk, Cheng Xu realizes his phone signal is being completely jammed, leaving him totally cut off from the outside world. A quick glance out the window reveals a rugged, isolated coastline, proving they are far away from any civilized city. The tour is violently interrupted as a panicked man in a jumpsuit sprints past them, screaming for everyone to get out of the way. The runaway pushes himself to his physical limit, desperate to reach the end of the corridor before he is caught. Lang's professional demeanor vanishes instantly as he draws his sidearm, cursing the sudden security breach. Cheng Xu can only watch in frozen silence as the guard prepares to take immediate action against the runner. With cold, calculated precision, Lang levels his weapon at the fleeing target's back. A deafening crack echoes through the hall as a bullet finds its mark, bringing the man down in a spray of blood. Writhing in pain on the floor, the captive begs for his life and promises never to attempt an escape again. Reinforcements quickly swarm the area, dragging the sobbing man back into the dark depths of the prison. Lang turns back with a chillingly polite smile, apologizing for the inconvenience of the messy escape attempt. Cheng Xu's blood runs cold as he processes the terrifying fact that he is currently trapped inside a high-security prison. Lang explains that this island isn't just a base. It's a detention center for criminals captured across various dimensions. Cheng Xu connects the dots, realizing that his target, Professor G, is likely locked away in a cell just like the one that man fled. The guard issues a stern warning, telling him that these prisoners are far too dangerous to ever interact with. In the background, Cheng Xu's phone screen flickers to life, successfully updating its internal database with fresh character data. A holographic stat panel appears over Lang, revealing terrifyingly high destructiveness and a complete lack of honesty. Pushing up his glasses, Cheng Xu realizes that Lang is a high-level threat that cannot be trusted under any circumstances. His train of thought is broken by the sound of rhythmic footsteps as a group of staff members in professional uniforms approaches. He watches with growing confusion, wondering what new role these people play in this twisted facility. Lang explains that the chief has handpicked a personal assistant to see to his needs during the technical assignment. Cheng Xu's eyes scan the row of assistants, searching for any sign of a friendly face in this den of lions. His heart skips a beat as he recognizes one of the women. It's the same mysterious mole who slipped him the warning note earlier. Guard Lang leans in close, his sharp eyes searching Cheng Xu's face for any sign of recognition. Cheng Xu keeps his expression neutral, knowing he must hide the fact that he's already spotted his secret ally in the crowd. He forces a sheepish smile, playing the part of a flustered amateur overwhelmed by the sudden attention from so many women. Lang offers a chilling smirk, reminding Cheng Xu that his cooperation in unlocking the mysterious artifact is his only ticket to freedom. Cheng Xu plays along with the charade, confirming that he is ready to make his selection from the lineup. Internally, he remains on high alert, certain that Lang has a hidden agenda regardless of who he picks. With a decisive gesture, Cheng Xu points his finger toward the woman he believes is the mole. The girls in the lineup react with a mix of shock and confusion as the choice is made. Lang immediately interjects with a flimsy excuse, claiming the girl is unwell to steer Cheng Xu toward a different candidate. The manipulation is obvious, and Cheng Xu realizes his captors are trying to control every variable of this experiment. Shifting his strategy, he points toward the purple-haired woman, insisting that she will be the one to accompany him. As Cheng Xu leads his new assistant away, Lang remains behind, his gaze burning into their backs. The guard's face hardens into a mask of cold suspicion. He immediately whispers a command to his subordinates to launch a full investigation into the assistant's history. Nearby, a rejected prisoner is roughly dragged away, a brutal reminder of what happens to those deemed useless. Once they are safely in a private room, Cheng Xu sits across from his new assistant to begin their real work. He cuts straight to the chase, demanding to know her true identity and her reason for being here. She introduces herself as Yi Cha, an agent of the Interdimensional Administration who was stranded during a botched rescue mission. Cheng Xu listens intently, processing the weight of her revelation as the pieces of the puzzle start to fit together. Yi Cha explains that she's well aware of his identity because he's currently a high-priority target on Group X's hit list. Frustrated by the mounting danger, Cheng Xu slams his hand onto the table in a moment of sheer stress. He realizes the facility isn't just holding him. They are hunting the powerful Eros app hidden within his phone. Yi Cha watches him closely, her expression turning serious as she considers the implications of the app's existence. Cheng Xu connects the dots, concluding that his phone is the very artifact that Lang is so desperate to control. Yi Cha's eyes widen as she asks for confirmation that he actually has the legendary device in his possession. She leans forward urgently, pleading with him to use the app's technical abilities to find a way out of this nightmare. Cheng Xu hesitates, knowing that the technical requirements of the app are far more complex than she realizes. Yi Cha stares at him with intense scrutiny, unable to understand why he isn't acting immediately to save them. He tries to explain that the artifact's activation is a delicate process that cannot be rushed without a plan. Suddenly, his phone dings on the table, cutting through the tension with a sharp notification sound. The HUD flickers to life, displaying Yicha's technical stats and leaving Cheng Xu wondering what secrets she's still hiding. Yicha grabs Cheng Xu's collar, desperately demanding to know what the mysterious artifact requires to function. Cheng Xu adjusts his glasses, masking his suspicion as he lies about the device being damaged to buy himself more time. The news hits Yicha hard, her face falling as she realizes their situation is even more dire than she thought. Suddenly, a flicker of realization crosses her face as she processes the technical implications of his claim. She snaps back to attention, her mind racing to find an alternative solution to their predicament. Seizing the moment, Cheng Xu leans in and tells her he has a plan to escape if she's willing to put her life in his hands. The duo arrives at the heavily guarded entrance of the central laboratory, ready to put their bluff to the ultimate test. An armed sentry immediately bars their path, shouting for them to state their business in the restricted zone. Cheng Xu and Yicha stand their ground, maintaining a calm demeanor under the pressure of the guard's intense gaze. Cheng Xu plays the part of an arrogant specialist, insulting the guard's intelligence while claiming he's there to unlock the artifact. The guard remains skeptical, citing the chief's strict orders that no one enters without the proper security clearance. Cheng Xu scoffs and threatens to walk away, placing the blame for any delays directly on the guard's shoulders. A second guard leans in and whispers that he remembers seeing the chief conferring with this man earlier. Cheng Xu casually rubs the back of his neck, acting as if he has better things to do than argue with low-level security. He starts to turn his back on them, a calculated move to force the guards into making a hasty decision. Panicked by the potential fallout, the lead guard quickly apologizes and stands aside to let them pass. Stepping into the lab, Cheng Xu commands the entire staff of scientists to halt their operations immediately. He declares that he's on a top-secret mission from the chief and orders everyone not authorized to clear the room. The confused researchers file out of the room, leaving Cheng Xu and Yicha alone with the high-tech equipment. Turning to his partner, Cheng Xu gives her a nod, signaling that the stage is set for her to take over the terminal. Yicha immediately gets to work, explaining that they must disable the signal blocker to transmit an SOS to the outside world. Meanwhile, a high-ranking officer approaches the laboratory with a grim expression, followed by his tactical team. He intercepts the retreating scientists in the hallway, demanding to know why they've abandoned their posts. One of the researchers explains that a specialist arrived to unlock the artifact and demanded they leave. The officer's eyes narrow as he realizes he's been played, his face twisting into a mask of pure fury. Inside the lab, Yicha's fingers blur across the keyboard as she tears through the facility's digital defenses. A progress bar flashes on the screen, showing that the signal blocker is nearly 90% deactivated. She stares intently at the monitor, her focus unbreakable as the final seconds of the hack count down. Cheng Xu checks the surveillance monitors and feels a surge of panic as he sees the enemy closing in on their location. He urges Yicha to hurry, warning her that their window of opportunity is slamming shut. Yicha looks back with a desperate expression, knowing they are agonizingly close to success. Suddenly, the phone in Cheng Xu's hand emits a sharp chime, presenting him with a choice that will determine their fate. Cheng Xu grabs Yicha's hand, asking if she truly trusts him. She looks him in the eye and confirms her loyalty. He immediately begins removing his shirt to create a frantic diversion. Cheng Xu orders her to follow suit to make their private research look convincing. Yicha is stunned by the sheer audacity of his plan. The security team arrives outside, ready to storm the lab. Strange sounds from inside the room cause the guards to hesitate. The officer's face tightens with visible irritation. He lets out a sharp cough to signal his presence. Cheng Xu cracks the door open, appearing disheveled to maintain the ruse. He greets the officer with a calculated, nervous smile. He explains they were in the middle of intense artifact research behind closed doors. The officer remains skeptical, demanding they finish their business quickly. Cheng Xu promises they will exit the lab immediately. Once the door is shut, the weight of the bluff leaves him trembling. Yicha realizes the brilliance behind his chaotic distraction. He quickly turns his attention back to the monitor. The screen confirms the signal blocker is finally fully disabled. Suddenly, a high-level security lockout halts their progress. The pair eventually exits the lab, now fully composed and dressed. The officer begrudgingly accepts their explanation for the delay. He warns them to keep their future research professional and transparent. Cheng Xu offers a fake, polite apology to end the encounter. They walk past the guards, trying to keep their cool. The officer watches them leave, his suspicions still lingering. Before they can escape, the officer barks a command for them to stop. Cheng Xu questions if there are any further obstacles to their departure. The officer presents an invitation to an exclusive facility banquet. Cheng Xu nervously accepts the offer while masking his anxiety. A subordinate approaches to deliver an urgent update to the chief. The guard reports that all lab surveillance cameras were recently disabled. The chief remains calm, deciding to let the current events play out. The duo finally distances themselves from the tense confrontation. Yicha praises Cheng Xu for his surprisingly effective performance. He admits the entire distraction was a desperate, heat of the moment choice. A lighthearted moment passes as they process their narrow escape. Yicha's expression darkens as she considers their failed objectives. Cheng Xu sighs while considering the utility of the invitation. He explains that a specific prisoner holds the key to their mission. This informant is an ex-member with deep knowledge of their enemies. The man knows the exact location of the hidden subterranean garage. Cheng Xu plans to use this information to secure their exit. He acknowledges the difficulty of the task given the heightened security. He hands the invitation to Yicha, designating it as their primary lead. The banquet commences with high-profile guests gathered at the lounge. Cheng Xu engages the chief in professional conversation to maintain cover. The officer reminds him that his expertise is vital for the artifact. The chief relaxes with a drink, oblivious to the ongoing infiltration. A server's tray is positioned perfectly to facilitate a covert scan. Yicha blends into the event staff while monitoring her targets. A hidden device on the tray silently beeps during the scan. Yicha confirms the successful extraction of the chief's fingerprints. Cheng Xu initiates a distraction by feigning a sudden dizzy spell. The pair successfully slips away into the shadows of the night. They arrive at the fortified perimeter gate to begin the next phase. Cheng Xu scans the hallway, relieved to find the area completely unguarded. He expertly overrides the security system, the keypad emitting a rhythmic beep as it grants them access. The heavy doors slide open, allowing the duo to slip into the high-security facility undetected. Rows of holding cells line the corridor, filled with some of the most dangerous individuals imaginable. Maintaining their cover, Cheng Xu and Yicha walk deeper into the heart of the prison complex. The inmates watch them with predatory eyes, their cold stares following the pair's every move. Cheng Xu adjusts his glasses, noting that every person locked in this block is clearly bad news. A clock on the wall ticks forward, signaling that the prison's daily recreation period is about to begin. Yicha's expression hardens as she realizes they've just walked into the middle of the yard's busiest hour. In an instant, a crowd of prisoners swarms around them, interrogating the newcomers about their origins. The duo remains on high alert, realizing that finding their target in this chaos will be nearly impossible. Suddenly, a voice cuts through the noise as a scarred man with an electronic collar demands their attention. This imposing figure steps forward, his presence alone enough to make the other inmates give him space. Yicha recognizes the man immediately, her eyes widening as she realizes exactly who they are dealing with. The prisoner narrows his eyes, curious that a total stranger would know his identity. He takes a seat with a casual air of authority, waiting to hear what business they have with him. Cheng Xu doesn't waste a second, demanding the precise location of the hidden subterranean garage. The man strokes his chin thoughtfully, weighing the risk of cooperating with these mysterious visitors. He bursts into a mocking laugh, finding the idea of them reaching the garage completely absurd. The duo remains unfazed by his reaction, maintaining a strictly professional and determined demeanor. The man's latter fades into a cold, calculating stare as he evaluates their resolve. Yicha challenges his loyalty, bringing up his past betrayal of Group X to see if he still has a conscience. He scoffs at her attempt to play on his emotions, clearly uninterested in past moral dilemmas. Seeing the negotiation stall, Cheng Xu makes a bold move, offering to facilitate the man's escape. The prisoner gestures to the specialized restraint around his neck, indicating the lethal security measure holding him back. He explains the mechanism's function, showing that any attempt to leave the perimeter would be fatal. With a grim smile, he mimics an explosion, making it clear that his life is forfeit if he steps out of line. Cheng Xu processes this technical hurdle, his mind racing for a way to bypass the explosive collar. The informant declares the conversation over, claiming they have nothing of value to offer him. Yicha and Cheng Xu exchange a concerned look, knowing their mission hangs in the balance. The man turns his back on the duo, intending to disappear back into the prison crowd. However, he pauses for a final moment, glancing back to see if they have any last-ditch proposals. The informant leans back with a smug grin, suggesting he'll only divulge the intel if he can have a private negotiation with one of them. He leans in close to Yicha, pressuring her to accept his terms in exchange for the secrets they need. Yicha raises her hand to keep him at a distance, her expression unreadable as she weighs the cost of the mission. Seeing their hesitation, the man scoffs and tells them to find their own way out of the hellhole if they won't comply. Yicha looks away, her silence suggesting she is actually considering making a personal sacrifice for the team. Cheng Xu turns to her in absolute shock, unable to believe she would even entertain such a shady proposal. He demands to know if she's lost her mind, realizing the informant is testing her resolve with an impossible choice. Yicha looks him in the eye and argues that if a simple sacrifice can save their lives, she is willing to handle it. Cheng Xu refuses to back down, questioning how she can possibly think such a compromise is acceptable. She maintains a cold logic, insisting that completing the objective is more important than her own well-being. Cheng Xu's face contorts with frustration, realizing he cannot let his partner throw herself away like this. He places a firm hand on her shoulder, vowing that he won't let her live with the guilt of such a desperate decision. Yicha stares at him, clearly moved by his sudden and intense display of protectiveness. In that moment, a digital interface flashes to life, officially registering Yicha as a new protected partner in the system. The informant grows impatient, stroking his chin as he asks if they've finally made up their minds. Cheng Xu steps forward aggressively, shielding Yicha and shouting for the man to forget about his demands. The informant stands his ground, narrowing his eyes to see if Yicha truly agrees with this rejection. Standing firmly behind her partner, Yicha looks the man down and confirms that they are united. Disappointed that his leverage failed, the man sighs and prepares to change his tactics. As the duo prepares to leave, Cheng Xu hopes they can exit without the situation escalating into a full-blown riot. Without warning, the informant's lackey hurls a glass bottle directly at the back of Cheng Xu's head. Cheng Xu reacts instantly, pulling Yicha aside as the glass shatters violently against the floor. The informant and his crew move in, dropping all pretenses of a peaceful negotiation as they surround the pair. The man sneers, telling them they were fools to think they could just walk away after insulting him. Cheng Xu stands his ground, telling Yicha to stay behind him while he deals with the hostile group. The two men lock eyes in a tense standoff, the air thick with the threat of imminent violence. The informant lunges forward with surprising speed, striking Cheng Xu and sending him reeling to the ground. He cracks his knuckles and mocks the MC, warning him never to act tough without the skills to back it up. He looms over the fallen protagonist, relishing the opportunity to exert his dominance in the yard. The informant grabs Cheng Xu by the shirt, screaming that his defiance is a mistake he will pay for with his life. Yicha rushes forward with a desperate cry, demanding the assailant release his hold on Cheng Xu immediately. Despite the life-threatening grip on his throat, Cheng Xu manages a chilling, knowing smirk that catches his partner off guard. A sudden, confident laugh erupts from Cheng Xu, echoing through the tense atmosphere of the yard. The informant sneers in disbelief, questioning if the pressure has finally caused Cheng Xu's mind to snap. Cheng Xu maintains his unwavering composure, staring directly into his attacker's eyes while labeling him a dead man walking. Infuriated by the defiance, the informant tightens his suffocating grasp and threatens to make Cheng Xu's demise even more agonizing. Unfazed, Cheng Xu calmly pivots the conversation, asking if the man was imprisoned for leaking Group X's sensitive data. Shock instantly replaces the informant's rage as he realizes his most guarded secrets have been laid bare. The physical strain of the assault finally takes its toll, leaving Cheng Xu doubled over in a violent cuffing fit. A digital system interface flickers into view, displaying the informant's technical specifications and his history of revealing top-secret intel while intoxicated. Cheng Xu exposes the man's elaborate plan to use a fake identity to trick a rival organization into providing a rescue. The informant's gaze drops as his carefully constructed facade begins to crumble under the weight of the truth. Pressing his advantage, Cheng Xu reminds the man that his supposed saviors will never actually come for him. Cheng Xu offers a final lifeline, promising to repair the man's vital artifact once they successfully escape the facility. Suspicion remains etched on the informant's face as he questions why he should trust the very man he was just trying to eliminate. Cheng Xu leans in with intense focus, declaring that this is the man's absolute last chance to secure his future. Recognizing the logic in the gamble, the informant slowly begins to relax his lethal grip. He fully releases Cheng Xu, stepping back to signal a tense truce between the two former enemies. Shortly after, Cheng Xu and Yicha find themselves standing in a sterile, enclosed transport chamber. Cheng Xu looks around the empty room with growing suspicion, wondering if the informant has led them into another trap. The silence is broken by the mechanical whine of a heavy rotary device, beginning its startup sequence. The floor beneath their feet vibrates intensely as a hidden lift system engages to move them to a new level. Standing together in professional formation, the duo braces for the unknown challenges awaiting them at the top. A sharp electronic chime signals their arrival as the heavy doors slide open to reveal a massive hidden hangar. They stare out at rows of high-tech tactical vehicles, confirming they have finally reached the secret garage. Deep within the facility, a high-ranking official remains focused on his desk, completely unaware of the security breach. The quiet of the office is shattered as a glass impacts the wall, causing the startled chief to look up in alarm. The chief looms over the technician, demanding to know exactly how long the intruders have been gone. The technician looks up with a nervous grin, desperately trying to play dumb about the situation. A subordinate gestures sharply, signaling that they have no more time for these stalling tactics. The chief points directly at the laptop, knowing the digital trail in the database will reveal everything. He towers over the man, accusing him of being the one who tampered with the data to aid the escape. The technician maintains his facade, insisting that this must all be a massive misunderstanding. To break his resolve, the chief places a chest overflowing with gold and jewels on the table as a professional bribe for the truth. The technician's eyes widen as he stares at the massive fortune, his loyalty starting to flicker. With a cold, piercing gaze, the chief warns that his patience has reached its limit after years of cooperation. Feeling the overwhelming pressure of the interrogation, the technician finally bows his head in defeat. He trembles as he gives in, promising to reveal the secrets of the system. His fingers fly across the keyboard, quickly selecting all the hidden data logs to satisfy the chief's demands. After handing over the intel, he looks up hopefully and asks if he is finally free to go. The chief flashes a sinister, knowing smile while granting him permission to leave. The technician quickly turns to flee the room, sensing the deadly shift in the atmosphere behind him. Meanwhile, inside the escape vehicle, Cheng Xu pulls his partner into an excited hug after successfully bypassing the security protocols. She stands frozen in shock, completely unprepared for such a sudden display of camaraderie. Realizing he overstepped their professional boundaries, Cheng Xu pulls back with a deeply embarrassed blush. She looks at him with a soft expression, questioning why he felt the need to share so many high-level secrets with her. Cheng Xu adjusts his glasses and looks away, simply stating that he views her as a trusted friend and ally. She reaches out and places a steadying hand on his arm, acknowledging the depth of their partnership. Leaning in close, she offers a sincere gesture of gratitude for the unwavering trust he has placed in her. Cheng Xu immediately panics, clarifies that he has a girlfriend, and doesn't want her to misunderstand their professional bond. She simply smiles at his flustered reaction, finding his commitment to his relationship quite amusing. The two of them quickly turn their attention back to the mission and prepare to depart. However, as they attempt to engage the drive system, the vehicle remains stubbornly stationary. A sudden sense of dread washes over them as they realize they are no longer in control of the craft. Cheng Xu stares at the monitors in horror as the system detects an abnormality and confirms they have been locked onto by the base's weapons. Cheng Xu and Yi Cha realize they're trapped as the situation takes a desperate turn. The chief stands tall with his enforcement squad, coldly advising the duo to surrender before things get worse. Cheng Xu frantically calculates his options, wondering if he should force an activation of the app, despite the low power bar. Yi Cha leans in with a look of grim determination, reminding him that this is their final opportunity to escape. Caught off guard by her sudden change in tone, Cheng Xu can only wonder what kind of chance she's talking about. Without warning, Yi Cha draws a sharp blade and prepares to make a drastic move. Cheng Xu freezes in shock as his own partner presses the cold steel against his throat. The chief watches the internal betrayal with a mocking smirk, unimpressed by the apparent drama. Yi Cha maintains her grip, whispering her intent to kill Cheng Xu if their demands aren't met. The guards remain on high alert, waiting for the chief's command to move in. Yi Cha shouts a final warning, threatening to take the secrets of the app to the grave if they take another step. The chief halts his men with a simple gesture, sensing the desperation in her eyes. Sweat beads on Cheng Xu's forehead as he realizes just how high the stakes have become. The standoff reaches a fever pitch as the two sides stare each other down in the silent garage. Yi Cha demands the chief stay exactly where he is, her focus entirely on keeping him at bay. The chief mockingly raises his hands, claiming he is the only one who can actually unlock the vehicle's system. Refusing to be played, Yi Cha threatens to end Cheng Xu's life right then and there if any tricks are pulled. Nearby, the technician's fingers fly across the keyboard to execute the override command. With a calm nod, the technician confirms that the remote lock has finally been deactivated. Yi Cha is momentarily stunned by how quickly the chief complied with her demands. Cheng Xu feels the system transfer, realizing he now has full administrative rights to the program. But before they can move, a sudden shift in the air signals a new danger. Yi Cha tries to maintain her defensive posture, but the momentum has already shifted against them. A powerful hand suddenly lunges forward, seizing Yi Cha's wrist in a crushing grip. She cries out in shock as her arm is jerked violently to the side. The blade slips from her fingers, clattering uselessly against the concrete floor. Just as the trigger is about to be pulled, Cheng screams for them to wait. The chief keeps his weapon leveled, demanding to know why Cheng would still want to save her life. Thinking fast, Cheng claims he doesn't want her saved. He believes she deserves a far worse death. Intrigued by the sudden coldness, the chief asks what kind of twisted plan Cheng has in mind. Cheng doubles down on the lie, stating he'll finish the decoding so she can be the first test subject. He glances back at captive Yi Cha, making sure his performance is convincing enough to satisfy the chief. The chief narrows his eyes, warning Cheng that this is last chance to deliver results. As Yi Cha is hauled away, Cheng watches her go, silently promising to rescue her one day. Days later, trapped within the lab, Cheng tirelessly works the monitors while searching for a weakness in their security. He remains alert, listening in on the surrounding technicians to find any leverage he can use. He overhears a pair of scientists discussing a leak of potent hallucinogens that could incapacitate the entire facility. Sensing an opportunity, Cheng settles into his chair, his mind finally piecing together an escape plan. He approaches a technician, catching the man off guard with his sudden presence in the restricted area. Cheng lies through his teeth, claiming the boss needs the man immediately and offering to finish his work. The unsuspecting technician hands over a tray filled with the dangerous chemical vials. With a sly look, Cheng examines his prize, knowing these chemicals are his ticket out of this nightmare. He then confronts the guard outside Yi Cha's cell, demanding she be untied so he can start his experiment. The guard stares back with a cold, skeptical expression, clearly not wanting to break protocol. Cheng adjusts his glasses with confidence, assuring the guard that his special tools and the external security make escape impossible. The guard finally relents, stepping aside to let the doctor begin his work. Cheng pushes the door open, stepping into the dim room where his partner is being held. Yicha looks up from the floor, her eyes wide with shock as she realizes who just walked in. Without wasting a second, Cheng declares that he's finally come to get her out of there, terribly afraid for him. Yicha begs him to leave before the guards realize he's a fraud. Cheng produces a gas mask, telling her the guards won't be in any condition to realize anything. Outside, the guard stares at the monitors, confused by a strange lack of movement. A sudden wave of intense vertigo hits the guard, forcing him to clutch his head in pain. Panic sets in as he realizes his body is no longer responding to his commands. His fingers scrape uselessly against the wall as he tries to stay upright. The guard's world goes black as he collapses to the floor with a heavy, final thud. Cheng stands tall, ready to lead the way through the labyrinthine corridors of facility. He turns to Yicha, noting with concern that the security system has already been compromised. Nearby, oblivious staff members gossip about a runaway who met a gruesome end at the hands of a local maniac. Cheng and Yicha remain silent, absorbing the chilling rumors as they blend into the background. Seeking a way out, Cheng points toward a restricted area and demands to know its exact purpose. High above, a murder of crows circles a darkening sky, their cries echoing like an ill omen. They arrive at a dilapidated hospital building that looks completely out of place within the high-tech hideout. Cheng stares at the structure in disbelief, questioning why such an ancient ward would even exist here. Yicha narrows her eyes, her instincts telling her that this location feels dangerously off. Somewhere in the shadows, a faint voice whispers a chilling command to open the way forward. Yicha snaps her head around, her senses heightening as she hears a sound that shouldn't be there. She checks in with Cheng, but the silence between them only makes the atmosphere heavier. A dark silhouette suddenly blurs past the edge of their vision, disappearing into the gloom. Cheng immediately goes on high alert, warning Yicha to watch her step in the dim light. Beads of sweat roll down his face as the psychological pressure of the ward begins to take its toll. He glances back at his partner, his expression tight with growing anxiety. Yicha maintains her composure, signaling that she is still capable of moving forward. Cheng scans the empty hallway, desperately trying to confirm what she just witnessed. A ghostly, flickering image of a figure begins to manifest in his mind's eye. He looks down at the floor, discovering a trail of debris that suggests a recent struggle. Footprints lead deeper into the sterile white corridor, marking a path they are forced to follow. Fear starts to take root as Cheng warns himself not to take another step into the unknown. His heart nearly stops when he spots a man sitting motionless in a wheelchair at the end of the hall. He stares in pure shock, his breath hitching as he realizes the figure is staring right back. Overwhelmed, Cheng closes his eyes and grips his head, trying to shake off the terrifying vision. When he looks again, the man is gone, leaving behind nothing but an empty, haunting seat. He realizes the hallucinogens are finally starting to warp his perception of reality. Stealing his resolve, he forces his trembling legs to keep moving through the corridor. A sharp mechanical click resonates through the hallway, signaling a door has been triggered nearby. Cheng freezes in place, his pulse racing as the environment turns hostile. The sound of something snapping under his weight echoes loudly in the oppressive silence. He loses his footing, stumbling back as his equilibrium begins to fail him. Gasping for air, he braces himself against the cold wall, eyes wide as the shadows seem to close in. A woman wakes up in a daze, finding herself bound to a chair in a room she doesn't recognize. Towering over her is a mysterious nurse, whose mask hides any trace of emotion as she demands to know the woman's identity. The nurse reaches out, examining the captive's face with a chillingly detached comment about her appearance. Suddenly, the silence is broken by the mechanical chirp of a cuckoo clock as the hour strikes 12. The nurse's attention snaps toward the sound, her demeanor shifting instantly as if triggered by a rigid schedule. Without another word, she turns her back on the captive, leaving the woman to wonder what she's planning next. She returns with a silver serving tray, cheerily announcing that it's time for a scheduled dose of medication. Now untied but still trapped, the woman sits at the table, her eyes darting around for any chance to escape. With a trembling hand, she lifts the heavy silver dome to reveal the medicine waiting beneath. To her horror, the plate is filled with nothing but a pile of wilted, unidentifiable greens. The nurse doesn't wait for a response, stuffing the strange plants into her own mouth with a disturbing, mechanical hunger. Watching this bizarre display, the woman realizes she's trapped with the very lunatic the others warned her about. The tension snaps as the plate is hurled to the ground, shattering into 1,000 jagged pieces. The nurse stands still, a dark aura radiating from her as the atmosphere in the room turns lethal. She declares with cold finality that anyone who fails to obey her rules must be permanently eliminated. Seizing a split-second opening, the woman bolts out of the room and sprints down the sterile hospital corridor. Behind her, the nurse begins a haunting chant, mockingly inviting her prey to come out and play. The rhythmic click of high heels follows, accompanied by the heavy scrape of a massive axe against the floor. The woman stops to catch her breath, her chest heaving as she desperately looks for a place to hide. A thunderous crash echoes through the hall, signaling that her pursuer is closing in fast. Pushed to the brink, she slips into a narrow storage locker, praying the shadows will keep her safe. Through a slim crack in the door, she watches in terror as the nurse's silhouette passes right in front of her. The nurse suddenly stops and raises her weapon high, ready to deliver a crushing blow to the nearby lockers. The woman flinches as the metal groans under the impact, the nurse's search becoming more violent by the second. With a final thud, a heap of discarded debris tumbles out of a neighboring unit, leaving the woman paralyzed with fear. Cheng Xu clutches his throbbing head, trying to shake off the disorientation of a sudden impact. He looks up in a daze, only to find himself on the floor directly beneath a silent, masked figure. Realizing the awkward position, he stammeringly apologizes and explains that he simply lost his footing. Yi Chao watches him with suspicion, demandingly asking how he even managed to locate this restricted area. Cheng breathes a sigh of relief, far more concerned with her safety than answering her interrogation. He looks between the two women, questioning if they know each other, and why one is dressed in such a strange nurse outfit. His gaze drops to the floor, where a massive long-handled axe lies within arm's reach. He picks up the weapon to inspect it, shocked by the realistic weight and the dangerous edge of the blade. Yi Chao's expression turns deadly serious as she warns him that the woman is a complete psychopath. Cheng takes a moment to think, finally realizing that the costume might be a much more literal threat. He turns back to the nurse, trying to maintain his composure as the tension in the room reaches a breaking point. As he reaches out to intervene, his movements are cautious and strictly focused on the technical threat at hand. A bizarre system notification appears, identifying the nurse as a remnant of a long-abandoned and vanished asylum. Suddenly, Yi Chao shouts a frantic warning for him to watch out. The nurse moves with violent precision, swinging the heavy axe upward in a lethal arc. Cheng barely manages to dodge the blow, feeling the wind from the blade as it narrowly misses his head. He retreats a few steps, staring down the silent attacker who shows no signs of slowing down. Forced into a corner, Cheng draws his weapon and warns her that he'll fire if she takes another step. The nurse remains motionless, her blank mask hiding any hint of emotion or fear. She shifts her gaze, completely ignoring the firearm as she turns her sights back onto Yi Chao. A sudden impact sends a cloud of dust into the air as the confrontation takes a physical turn. Cheng realizes that the rumors of a secret exit are their only hope for survival. Yi Chao quickly scavenges a nearby notebook, hoping it contains the map they desperately need. They read the frantic notes of a man named Eaton, who describes the nurse as an abnormally strong monster. Cheng is relieved to find a mention of a door on the highest floor that leads out of this hellhole. Yi Chao stops mid-sentence, her face paling as she reads the final warning in the journal. Cheng asks what's wrong, sensing that their plan for escape just hit a massive snag. The note warns that normal weapons are completely ineffective and will only serve to make the nurse angrier. As the realization sinks in, the relentless nurse appears behind them, ready to resume her hunt. Cheng and Yi stand frozen as the nurse blocks their path. Yi grabs the firearm, determined to take the shot. Lead bounces off the nurse like rain against a window. Yi stares in disbelief at the failed assault. Empty shells clatter uselessly onto the cold floor. The monster remains unscathed, wearing a twisted grin. Panic sets in as Yi realizes conventional weapons are useless. A system interface locks onto the duo as the next targets. The nurse lunges forward, swinging her heavy tool. Yi narrowly avoids a lethal blow to the head. Cheng pulls Yi away, forcing her to move. They sprint through the dark, narrow hallway. Yi asks how they can possibly survive this encounter. Cheng suggests a risky plan to split up. Yi hesitates, fearing for his safety. He gives her a firm look, demanding her trust. She acknowledges the plan with a somber look. Yi disappears into the shadows to find the exit. The nurse turns her gaze toward the remaining prey. Cheng calls out, successfully drawing the killer's ire. The nurse locks on her new solo target. She lashes out with a violent, sweeping strike. Cheng dives through the air to escape the impact. He calculates his chances in this deadly game. Debris flies as the nurse wrecks the corridor. Cheng rounds the corner, pushing his physical limits. He pauses briefly, checking the distance behind him. He finds a room blocked by heavy furniture. Cheng scrambles over the wreckage to hide. The nurse's mask looms over the makeshift barrier. She peers over the debris, searching the room. She stands tall in the doorway, scanning for movement. Her fingers wrap around the cold metal handle. The killer enters the room with methodical precision. Cheng reaches for his phone, praying the app works. The lethal nurse looms in the doorway, her mask hiding a sinister intent. Cheng Xu desperately grips his phone, praying for the app to load. Finally, the screen flashes as stalking mode is successfully activated. He monitors the digital radar, using the brightness to track the monster's proximity. The floor color deepens, signaling that the predator is dangerously close. Cheng remains frozen behind a shelf, while the nurse stalks the hallway just inches away. He decides that staying silent is the only way to survive this encounter. The door shuts with a soft click, suggesting the threat has moved on. Relief washes over him as he credits his phone for the narrow escape. A sudden crow at the window breaks the silence and puts him on edge. The app suddenly screams a red warning of imminent exposure. Cheng stares at the device in shock, realizing the nurse hasn't actually left. Another mechanical click echoes through the room, heightening the tension. The ceiling abruptly detonates, raining debris and dust down on the MC. Cheng collapses to the ground, gasping for air amidst the thick smoke. The nurse emerges from the haze, looking down at her trapped prey. She swiftly seizes him, ignoring his protests as she drags him away. Her grip is ironclad as she hauls him through the dark corridor. Cheng blinks in confusion as the environment suddenly shifts around him. He hits the floor with a heavy thud, finding himself suddenly alone. He looks around in disbelief, wondering how she vanished so instantly. The MC begins to piece together the strange logic of this encounter. A chilling realization hits him that something is fundamentally wrong. He questions why the previous notebook owner failed to escape despite finding the exit. Panic flares as he recognizes a hidden trap in the asylum's layout. Elsewhere, Yicha navigates a sterile, brightly lit hallway. She stops before a massive, reinforced security door. Confident in her path, she identifies this as the final objective. He reaches for the heavy manual lever and pulls it to reveal what lies beyond. Yicha cautiously steps through the massive vault doors into the facility's inner sanctum. A bloodied axe lies discarded on the floor, serving as a grim warning of what lies ahead. Sensing a presence, she turns back with a look of sharp suspicion. Steady footsteps echo through the hall as a figure approaches. Cheng Xu appears, his face shadowed by the weight of the situation. He sighs heavily, lamenting his late arrival to the scene. A man in a wheelchair greets him, claiming they have been expecting his arrival. Cheng immediately demands to know who this stranger is. The man introduces himself as Izan, asserting he is a victim just like them. Cheng questions if he is the original owner of the mysterious notebook. Izan expresses shock that his notes were actually found by another survivor. Skeptical, Cheng asks how he has managed to stay alive in this hellscape. Izan explains he found a way to survive, though escape remains impossible. Cheng's technical curiosity is piqued by the mention of a survival something. The man offers to lead him to his partner to facilitate a rescue. They find Yiche bound and gagged, held captive in the shadows. She struggles against her restraints, her eyes conveying a desperate message. Cheng maintains a professional focus as he attempts to calm her during the rescue. Yiche manages to shout a warning that the man and the monsters are working together. The sudden betrayal leaves Cheng completely stunned. The nurse suddenly appears, blocking their only path to safety. Izan asks the entity if he can finally be released from his service. With the traitor dealt with, the duo flees through the dark corridor. Their hearts sink as they realize they have run straight into a dead end. Cheng frantically tries to force open the unresponsive elevator doors. Yicha begins to lose hope, fearing this is where their journey ends. Cheng refuses to surrender, fueled by the thought of those waiting for him outside. He pulls out his phone, contemplating a high-risk technical maneuver to save them. Cheng's eyes sharpen as he reveals a hidden strategy to jumpstart the device's main application. Yi stares back in disbelief, her mind racing to process this sudden shift in their situation. She reminds him that he previously claimed the software was completely fried and beyond repair. Looking down, Cheng confesses that his earlier distrust led him to hide the truth about the system's capabilities. He assures her that after she risked everything to save him, his commitment to their partnership is now absolute. He pauses, her expression softening as she realizes the weight of his honesty in this dire moment. Noticing her hesitation, Cheng asks if something about the plan is making her uncomfortable. She shakes off the doubt, urging him to initiate the sequence since it's their final hope for survival. However, Cheng stops short, his face tightening as he realizes the technical hurdle ahead is more complex than expected. The loading screen remains stagnant, indicating that a vital piece of input is still missing for the final boot up. Cheng explains that the activation protocol requires a specific, highly personal form of biometric resonance to bypass the lock. Thinking he's making light of their life or death situation, Yi delivers a swift disciplinary strike to his cheek. She fumes with indignation, demanding to know how he could possibly find room for humor while they're cornered. Rubbing his face, Cheng maintains a dead serious tone, insisting that the technical requirements are no laughing matter. He searches his eyes for any sign of a ruse, beginning to grasp the gravity of the technical sacrifice needed. He nods sullenly, confirming that there is no other shortcut to bypass the security wall. She considers the high stakes of the synchronization process, her hand hovering near her chin in deep thought. Unable to look her in the eye, Cheng covers his face and offers to search for a less intrusive alternative. He turns away, giving her space to decide if she's willing to proceed with such a high-risk technical link. Yi approaches with unwavering focus, assuring him that she is ready to face the consequences of this high-pressure synchronization. The phone sits dormant on the floor, waiting for the final spark to ignite its circuits. Cheng's eyes widen in shock as the device suddenly reacts to their close proximity. The screen bursts into a vibrant pink glow, announcing that the activation sequence is finally complete. The nurse delivers a powerful kick to the barrier. She stands tall, expressionless and ready for blood. Suddenly, Cheng appears directly behind the threat. The nurse collapses forward with a heavy thud. Cheng clears his throat, standing over the fallen enemy. He tauntingly asks if she's looking for the heavy axe. With a swift motion, he hurls the weapon across the room. The nurse watches the blade fly past her head. Cheng sighs in relief, believing the the battle is finally won. His confidence wavers as he notices something is wrong. Despite her injuries, the nurse begins to rise again. Her gaze remains fixed and terrifyingly empty. She lunges at him with inhuman speed. Cheng narrowly avoids her lethal grasp. He hits the wall, cursing her lack of weaknesses. The nurse corners him, leaving no room for error. Suddenly, the creature pauses, clutching her head in agony. Cheng checks her data, realizing she's vulnerable to light. He spots a glimmering reflection on the wall. The hero readies himself for a final gambit. He locates the nearby UV sterilization room. The sign confirms his target is just ahead. He prepares to lure her into the trap. The pressure mounts as he struggles to stay conscious. Cheng slams the activation switch with everything he has. Blinding UV rays erupt, bathing the hallway in light. The nurse screams as the radiation tears her apart. Exhausted, Cheng collapses and coughs from the strain. He falls to the floor, his strength completely spent. In the darkness, a familiar voice calls out to him. Yicha urgently tries to wake him from his stupor. The facility begins to crumble as they flee together. Explosions rock the corridor while they race for safety. Cheng and Yicha stand before the final threshold, the weight of their escape hanging heavy in the air. Yicha casts a lingering glance at her partner, while Cheng remains focused on the path ahead. A deafening blast shakes the corridor, signaling that their time in this crumbling facility is running out. They reach the extraction zone where a sleek, high-tech transport waits to carry them to safety. However, their path is suddenly blocked by Izan and his armed squad, who have been lying in wait for this exact moment. Cold sweat beads on Cheng's forehead as he realizes their secret escape route has been compromised. Izan wears a triumphant smirk, revealing that every move they made was anticipated from the start. He explains with chilling calm that the exit Cheng saw was merely a sophisticated holographic ruse, designed to lure them into a trap. The traitor then shifts his attention toward Yicha, signaling a shift in the power dynamic. Izan drops a bombshell, claiming that Yicha has been working for his organization the entire time. Cheng's world shatters as he recalls the deep bond they shared during their perilous mission. Memories of their shared struggles and professional partnership flash through his mind like a cruel joke. Desperate for a denial, Cheng looks at Yicha, pleading for her to tell him it's all a lie. Yicha's expression turns ice cold as she admits she only used him to learn how to activate the critical app data. She turns her back on him, the shadows hiding whatever regret might be lingering in her eyes. Izan praises her performance, ordering her to finalize the technical report on the app's activation for his records. Before Cheng can react, the guards seize him, pinning his arms behind his back. Izan casually lights a cigarette, mockingly asking Cheng to choose the manner of his own demise. In a sudden blur of motion, a cold steel barrel is pressed firmly against Izan's temple. Yicha has turned the tables, using Izan as a human shield to regain control of the situation. Her gaze is unwavering as she makes it clear that she has finished following orders and isn't joking around. Izan's face contorts with primal fury as he realizes his top operative has truly betrayed him. With a steady hand, Yicha commands the guards to release their hold on Cheng immediately. The mercenaries back away in confusion, unable to fire while their leader's life hangs by a thread. Yicha briefly looks back at Cheng, offering a sincere apology for the deception she was forced to maintain. Cheng nods in understanding, urging her to join him so they can finally leave this nightmare behind. She instructs him to board the vehicle and find a specific blue box so they can complete the mission. Trusting her one last time, Cheng sprints toward the open hatch of the advanced aircraft. Yicha watches him go with a bittersweet expression, knowing the choice she's about to make. Once inside the cabin, Cheng spots the mysterious blue container resting on the seat. He opens it to find a handwritten note, a final message explaining that her sacrifice was necessary for his survival. A sharp chime echoes through the cabin as the ship's automated systems suddenly spring to life. Panic sets in as the door seals shut, trapping Cheng inside while the engines roar to full power. The transport blasts off into the sky, carrying Cheng away as Yicha stands alone on the doomed island. A single tear tracks down her cheek as she whispers a final, silent goodbye to the man she protected. A series of massive explosions rips through the facility, leveling the entire island in a wall of fire and debris. Amidst the smoldering ruins and jagged rocks, the silence is broken by a slight movement. A blood-stained hand claws its way out from beneath the heavy rubble, proving that the struggle is far from over. Cheng stares at his phone, questioning the app's impact on his life. He sets the device down, its screen finally dimming. Exhausted, he wonders if he should delete the software for good. The phone sits idle on the bed as Cheng tries to sleep. He falls into a deep, heavy slumber. A blonde woman stands outside the door, ready to enter. She quietly slips into darkened room. She looms over the bed, determined to wait for him. She climbs onto the mattress to rest for the night. The two lie back to back in complete silence. Cheng's eyes snap open, sensing someone nearby. They both turn and find themselves face to face. Both scream in shock at the sudden discovery. She demands to know what he's doing there. Cheng frantically insists this is his own home. She glares, completely unimpressed by his claim. He realizes she's Shelley, the landlord's formidable daughter. Shelley demands her overdue rent payment immediately. Cheng admits he has no money to give. She stares him down with icy intensity. A sudden slap catches him completely off guard. He nurses his stinging cheek, stunned by her aggression. She suggests he pawn his his valuables for payment. Cheng confesses he owns nothing of any value. Shelley sighs, deeply frustrated by his lack of resources. He watches her nervously, fearing her next reaction. She suddenly pulls out a sharp blade with precision. She asks which organ he can spare to settle the debt. Cheng breaks into a panicked cold sweat. She maintains her stern, uncompromising posture. He trembles, terrified of her intense demands. She smirks, mentioning one final way to clear his debt. Cheng asks with trepidation what she has in mind. The scene shifts to the landlord's upscale residence, where Cheng's life has taken a bizarre and humiliating turn. He's been forced into a ridiculous new uniform, a pink apron complete with a tiny heart right on the chest. As he stands awkwardly by, Shelley relaxes on the couch, making it clear that she now views him as her personal help. With a dismissive wave of her hand, she makes it known that his dignity is the last thing on her mind. Left standing in his embarrassing attire, Cheng can only wait for his next set of grueling instructions. He eventually walks away with a heavy sigh, the weight of his new reality finally sinking in. Looking absolutely miserable, he realizes this isn't just a debt repayment, it's borderline slavery. The sheer humiliation of the role brings him to the verge of tears as he struggles to maintain any shred of self-respect. While navigating the halls, he bumps into another man who seems all too familiar with the house's routine. The stranger catches Cheng's bewildered stare and asks why he's being looked at with such shock. The man quickly clarifies that Cheng has the wrong idea about his role in the household. Cheng is visibly shaken, realizing that the men who worked here before him must have endured the same treatment. The veteran worker offers a grim warning, telling Cheng to brace himself for a very long and difficult ride. Cheng stares back in disbelief, unable to process the man's weathered and exhausted appearance. The man introduces himself as Mr. Wen, revealing he is only 46 years old this year. Stunned into silence, Cheng can only sweat as he realizes the physical toll this environment takes on a person. He shields his eyes in horror, realizing how cruel it is that a man so young could look so old and broken. Clenching his fists, Cheng vows to find a way to pay off his debt and escape this hellhole as soon as possible. He begins to desperately calculate his options, wondering who he'd possibly borrow money from. He briefly considers reaching out to Miss Su, but realizes her family must be on high alert after the runaway incident. He knows he would be caught immediately if he tried to contact her now, so he quickly abandons that plan. He then thinks of Luxie, wondering if she might be able to help him out of this jam. However, he hasn't called her in such a long time that asking for money now would feel completely wrong. Reaching for his phone, he wonders if he should finally rely on the mysterious app to solve his financial crisis. Suddenly, the door clicks open, and Shelley catches him in the middle of his frantic brainstorming. She coldly addresses him as servant number 9527, and demands that he begin cleaning up the room immediately. Just then, the app triggers a high-stakes prompt, forcing him to choose between obedience and a potentially dangerous rejection. Shelley grows impatient, snapping at him to pay attention and follow her orders. Cheng decides that a simple cleaning task isn't worth the risk of the app's unknown consequences. After a grueling session of tidying up the quarters, he finally finishes the job, looking completely drained. As he prepares to move on, Shelley watches him with a piercing, suspicious gaze, wondering if anything has gone missing. Cheng tries to de-escalate the tension, sensing a massive misunderstanding is brewing. For a split second, he hopes this confrontation means she's finally decided to let him go. But Shelley's face contorts in rage as she accuses him of being a pervert who stole her laundry. Cheng is left completely dumbfounded, repeating the absurd accusation back to her in disbelief. Before he can even process the charge, Shelley lashes out with a violent strike that sends him reeling. Crashing into the floor, he desperately shouts his innocence from the center of the impact crater. He manages to stand back up, rubbing his head while insisting that she must have the wrong person. Shelley isn't buying it, pointing out that as the only man on the premises, he's the only logical suspect. Cheng quickly counters, realizing that he isn't actually the only male presence in the building. His mind flashes back to his earlier encounter with the mysterious and wary Mr. Wen. A sudden spark of desperation hits him as he claims to have finally identified the real culprit. Meanwhile, in another room, Mr. Wen sits on the edge of his bed with his heart racing in anxiety. Cheng bursts into the room like a hard-boiled detective, pointing an accusatory finger directly at the older man. Mr. Wen looks up with a gaze full of confusion, seemingly unaware of why he's being cornered. Refusing to back down, Cheng demands that the veteran simply admit to taking the missing items. The older man can only offer a blank, puzzled expression, clearly not understanding the gravity of the situation. Cheng pauses to analyze the situation, crossing his arms as he calculates the timeline of the alleged theft. He reasons that if Mr. Wen was the thief, he wouldn't have had enough time to relocate the evidence. Adjusting his glasses with clinical precision, he decides the only way forward is a thorough investigation. He begins tearing the room apart, frantically searching every nook and cranny for any sign of the missing laundry. Half an hour of exhaustive searching yields nothing, leaving Cheng sweating and questioning his own logic. Shelley suddenly storms in, declaring that she's seen enough of this pathetic display. She slams the door behind her, effectively trapping the two men together in a tense silence. Overcome with guilt, Cheng apologizes to Mr. Wen for dragging an innocent man into this chaotic mess. Mr. Wen stares back with a hollow, weary expression that speaks of years of hardship. Cheng trembles with frustration, hiding the fact that they are both being framed for something they didn't do. Surprisingly, the veteran offers a moment of grace, telling the young man that he doesn't hold a grudge. Suddenly, Cheng's eyes lock onto a framed drawing, wondering if the app is providing a hidden clue. He turns his focus to the art piece, asking Mr. Wen about its origin. Mr. Wen explains that the drawing was a personal gift from a woman he once loved. Observing the two of them sitting in the dim light, Cheng assumes the man is still mourning a lost romance. However, Mr. Wen's face remains cold and stoic as he shuts down that sentimental notion. He reveals that the woman became a world-renowned artist, and he only kept the sketch because of its massive market value. The sheer pragmatism of the statement catches Cheng completely off guard. He fixates on the concept of value, realizing this might be the key to their salvation. With a sudden burst of energy, Cheng grabs Mr. Wen, declaring he's finally figured out how to clear their names. Shelley sips her tea, demanding proof of innocence. Cheng explains that while a male thief is likely, there's more to the motive. He suggests this specific case might be an exception to the rule. Shelley listens intently, trying to follow his logic. Cheng argues the thief wasn't after the clothes, but their hidden value. The realization begins to sink in for Shelley. She suddenly remembers a diamond was embedded in the stolen item. Mr. Wen mentions a maid named Xiaoli recently quit due to health issues. Shelley prepares her motorcycle for a high-speed investigation. She commands Cheng to hop on and hold tight. Cheng hesitates, maintaining a professional distance. Shelley gives him a knowing look, questioning his sudden hesitation. She guns the engine, leaving Cheng screaming in terror. Upon arrival, Cheng is visibly shaken by the wild ride. Shelley firmly knocks on the suspect's door. Xiaoli opens the door, shocked to see her former employers. The maid immediately plays the victim, acting deeply offended. Cheng cuts through her performance, telling her to drop the act. He knows she's lying thanks to his internal app's detection. Xiaoli tries to deflect the blame back onto Cheng. The door suddenly bursts open with a loud bang. A masked gunman enters the room, aiming his weapon at them. Shelley finds the intruder's voice strangely familiar. A look of sharp realization crosses her face. Shelley lunges forward to push Xiaoli out of the line of fire. The intruder pulls off the mask, revealing himself as Mr. Wen. The group stands frozen in disbelief at the veteran's appearance. Xiaoli panics, threatening to involve the authorities immediately. Cheng remains calm, welcoming the idea of a police investigation. He adjusts his glasses, already knowing exactly where the evidence is hidden. Cheng, Shelley, and Xiaoli stand in the tense room. Cheng's gaze shifts toward the wall clock. He ignores the maid's nervous stare to focus on his target. Reaching out, he carefully removes the clock from its mount. He begins tapping the wall to locate a hollow space. His fingers press a hidden mechanism behind the wallpaper. A secret compartment pops open, revealing a small wooden chest. Xiaoli's face pales as her secret is laid bare. Cheng holds the evidence, demanding the truth from the trembling maid. Desperate, Xiaoli points a finger and accuses Shelley of constant surveillance. Shelley reacts with shock at the maid's blatant lie. Cheng counters that Shelley actually protected her from the gunman. Xiaoli screams in disbelief, demanding to know how he found the spot. He coolly reveals that she was the one who led him right to it. He recalls the moment Mr. Wen stormed in as a masked robber. Cheng explains he kept a sharp eye on her during the entire attack. In the panic, her eyes darted straight to the wall clock. That single reflex gave Cheng all the confirmation he needed. He opens the chest, noting that emergencies reveal one's true priorities. The missing diamond glitters brilliantly inside the velvet lining. Xiaoli's facade crumbles as she stares down in shame. Utterly defeated, the maid collapses into a heap on the floor. Later, Shelley walks with Cheng, genuinely impressed by his sharp wit. A new notification pings on Shelley's smartphone. She suddenly recalls a previous boast about her professional security. Cheng examines the diamond, dreaming of buying one for his girlfriend. A flashback shows them walking past a child eating a banana. Suddenly, Cheng's foot lands squarely on a discarded peel. He crashes to the pavement with a violent thud. The precious diamond slips from his hand and soars through the air. It bounces once before, disappearing down a street grate. Back in reality, Cheng sweats at the thought of the consequences. Shelley towers over him with a terrifying, vengeful aura. He screams in terror, certain his career is over. Shelley offers a reprieve, provided he agrees to a new professional favor. Cheng and Shelley walk hand-in-hand to maintain their public ruse. Cheng silently worries that this fake boyfriend act might jeopardize his reputation with others. He rubs his temples, praying this favor doesn't spiral into a total disaster. They arrive at a popular storefront only to find a crowd gathered outside. Suddenly, an acquaintance named Zhu Zhuomu spots Shelley and waves her down. Zhu approaches, surprised to cross paths with her at this specific location. Shelley pulls Cheng closer, signaling the start of their coordinated performance. She confidently introduces Cheng as her official boyfriend to the stunned schoolmate. Shelley explains that Zhu is an old classmate she hasn't seen in a while. Zhu offers a polite greeting while hiding his immediate internal judgment. Internally, Zhu scoffs at Shelley's choice, dismissing Cheng's plain appearance. He condescendingly praises Cheng for speaking the local language with such proficiency. Cheng stares back, clearly unimpressed by the man's thinly veiled insults. Zhuo continues the provocation by questioning if Cheng is actually a foreigner. Cheng fires back, calling out Zhuo's own background in a sharp, witty rebuttal. A student interrupts the tension, asking why everyone is idling at the entrance. The crowd explains the restaurant is closed because the owner is in a foul mood. Zhuo realizes this is the perfect chance to showcase his supposed influence to Shelley. He loses himself in a fantasy where Shelley is mesmerized by his social power. Snapping back to reality, Zuo prepares to force the shop to accommodate them. Zuo brushes past Cheng with a mocking scoff, eager to play the hero. He promises Shelley that he will resolve the seating issue through his connections. Moments later, Zuo is violently ejected from the shop and hits the pavement hard. He tries to save face by shouting threats about his father's status to the crowd. Two massive security guards loom over him, ending his bravado instantly. Trembling, Zuo quickly suggests the group should just find a different place to eat. Cheng realizes that staying in the open risks an unwanted encounter with people he knows. Fed up with the delay, Cheng decides to step in and handle the situation properly. Zuo Zhuomu condescendingly places a hand on Cheng's shoulder, urging him to quit the charade and move to the next restaurant. Cheng Xu's gaze turns cold as he demands that Zuo remove his hand immediately. Caught off guard by the sudden intensity, Zuo's eyes widen as a bead of sweat rolls down his face. He quickly retreats, gesturing wildly while accusing Cheng of wasting everyone's time if he can't actually secure a table. From the distance, Shelley approaches the tense confrontation to see what the commotion is about. She ignores Zuo entirely, focusing all her attention on calling out to Cheng. Zuo flashes a smug, self-satisfied grin, convinced that Shelley is finally coming to her senses. Instead, Shelley firmly takes Cheng's hand and tells Zuo to get lost since her boyfriend is already here. Without another word, Cheng takes a decisive step toward the restricted entrance. He walks confidently toward the glass doors, leaving a stunned Zuo standing alone in the hallway. Zuo's expression twists into a mask of pure, unadulterated rage at the blatant disrespect. Ignoring the glares behind him, Cheng reaches out and pushes the heavy door open. Shelley maintains her grip on his hand, whispering a cold warning about the price of failure if he can't pull this off. They enter a luxurious private lounge where a man is desperately trying to manage a distressed woman. Cheng Xu adjusts his glasses, wondering if this woman is the powerful boss they've been looking for. The man tries to snatch a bottle away, pleading with the woman to stop her reckless drinking. She lashes out, shoving him back and demanding that all the aholes leave her in peace. Stepping into the line of fire, Cheng raises a hand to offer a polite greeting. The man isn't in the mood for talk, pointing aggressively and ordering security to throw Cheng out. Heavy-handed guards immediately seize Cheng by the shoulders to escort him from the premises. Just as he's being dragged away, Cheng's eyes light up as his system reveals a hidden profile of the woman. He analyzes her data, noting her age and the deep-seated sadness she feels for someone she's lost. A vision of her past romance flashes through his mind, revealing the heartbreak she's trying to drown in wine. Cheng smirks as the pieces of the puzzle fall into place, realizing he now holds the winning hand. Before the guards can finish their job, the man shouts for them to wait as Cheng starts to speak. Still held by the security team, Cheng remains calm while addressing the man directly. He cuts straight to the point, asking if the man's sister is currently suffering from a broken heart. The man bristles with defensive anger, claiming his sister's marriage is perfectly fine. Cheng rests his chin on his hand, knowing the husband isn't the one she's truly crying over. The man's voice falters as he wonders if Cheng is referring to her first love. He quickly dismisses the idea, bragging about how he taught that jerk a lesson years ago. Cheng explains that the unresolved feelings are exactly what's weighing her down after all this time. The man looks at Cheng with newfound curiosity, asking how he could possibly know such intimate details. He sighs in frustration, admitting that he doesn't even have a way to contact the man from her past. Cheng closes his eyes for a moment, letting his system process the best way to handle the situation. Suddenly, a literal light bulb goes off in his head as he devises a foolproof plan. He leans in to share his idea, leaving the man skeptical, but desperate enough to ask if it's actually possible.